Citizen comments on agenda items only. Must be signed in on sign-up sheet, limited to 2 minutes. Consent agenda. All items marked with a single asterisk on consent agenda are considered routine by the city council and be acted upon in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requested. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on June 21st, 2022, and special meetings on June 23rd and June 30th, 2022. B, Secretary Treasurer's report, payment of bills, June 2022. C, Investment Officer's report, June 2022. May I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. There's no mayor's report tonight. We'll go to the alderman's report. Neville? Nothing to report. Cunningham?
Two things, the air conditioning project next door at the fire department's finished, and the new water fountain for the pavilion is in and should be installed this week.
Okay, thank you. Del
Now, a couple things. This year's budget's looking good. We're wrapping up the end of the fiscal year, a couple months. We had a meeting, Randy and I met with, just over telecom with the auditors back in July the 11th, and also with Raytex, financial folks. And they had a list of things that they are still on open items. Randy responded to them, and he gave them all the information they needed. And Raytex had a couple things to do, so we got everything that was requested. They're planning on having an audit report back completed by July 26th, and we'll follow that as a presentation to the aldermen on August 4th meeting. And I stressed to them that we need to get this audit completed because we're trying to get a bond for the dredging project, and most financial institutions are going to want to see the audit from last year before they issue it. The dredging project is going well. We had over 19 or more bid packages that went out. There's a lot of people that are interested in bidding for the dredging. We had a pre-bid meeting with the bidders, Goldie and I and Brandy were there on July the 11th. We had a good turnout. There was an update to the bid package of the upfront part, a lot of administrative stuff. The attorney Scott Downs of Olson they cleaned up a bunch of the fun part of the bid package and got rid of a lot of stuff that wasn't necessary. Did a good job on that. The technical stuff really wasn't changed. The bids are due July the 28th, and the alderman going to the alderman for final approval on August the 4th. Been working with Brandy and Goldie on a 22-23 budget, which will be presented tonight. And then we have future budget meetings on August the 4th, August the 16th, and final setting the tax rate on September the 20th. That's it.
Thank you. Captain.
No, I just have one thing, but I'll bring it up under the ordinance review.
Okay. Coffin?
No report.
Okay, thank you. Reports and presentations. Fire department.
No new roster changes. Responses. EMS, 8 medical, 2 injuries, 3 MVAs for a total of 13. Fires, 1 minor fire. The fire was a vehicle fire. 2 power lines down, 1 mutual aid call, 6 canceled en route, and 1 false alarm false call for 24 total calls. All units are in service, and pending is a FEMA grant.
And thank you. Police report.
Calls for the month of June 2022, 2 alarm calls, 1 animal stray, 20 agency assist, 3 assist citizens, 1 attempt self warrant, 3 disturbance, 1 drunk intoxicated person, 7 fire and EMS calls, 1 fireworks, 2 fraud, 1 general information call, 1 juvenile problem, 1 lying down, 1 loud music, 1 marine call, 1 mental health, 2 silent 911s, 3 suspicious circumstances, 4 suspicious persons, 1 suspicious vehicle, 1 threats, 3 traffic complaints in city, 9 traffic stops, citations, 2 traffic stops warnings, 1 violation city ordinance, total of 77 calls.
Thank you. Building inspector's report.
We issued one CO, that's a certificate of occupancy for finally finished Dr. Ray's house. So
Okay.
that's been a while. 11 new homes currently under construction, 61 permits issued, 50 permits closed, got one replat for review. Reviews for the ordinance, been discussing that with Steve, which is the ordinance committee, and Ray. Had one court case, non-compliance ordinance issues, 3 red tags. Notices issued, 1 substandard structure letter sent, 8 site reviews, 4 by complaint. Efforts continue for ordinance violations for substandard non-compliant conditions. CRS ISO, the major 5-year recertifications coming up. That's this month, the 28th. Gary's going to try to attend it, so we'll have an expert on the insurance side of it. The 600+ page report was sent in and completed. We sent it in July 14th. There's a lot of man hours go into that, so I want to appreciate Vicki for her hard work. Tiki meetings, site review, collecting the fees and applications continue. Ira Scott, Bill Robinson, and Ben Falk as representatives. Business as usual.
Thank you. Ordinance Review Committee report.
Okay, one quick thing, going back to, I think it was last meeting, one special meetings about the fishing lines in the water. I got an email back from Carrie Spears, who's the general counsel of the Texas Parks and Wildlife. And basically, I've gone through all the stuff that she wrote, all the legal stuff. Trying basically at the end, she says an ordinance regulating how a person fishes, attended or unattended, would likely be seen as stepping into that exclusive authority of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. So pretty much, you know, we have no say in what goes on. So we could maybe try and curb that, you know, with some public service announcements, reminder people kind of manage their fishing lines, but I don't think we can do, according to her, we can't make an ordinance for it, so. Along with that, we have I'll let Alan go over this report, since he's put all this together. So Alan, do you want to take over here?
Okay, well, the committee's working on right now the road load limit ordinance, which needed a little cleaning up, and then we're also working on the drainage ordinance that I think it got approved in April, but then we're suggesting a different version, way to do it. And then the other is the lot usage, residential and vacant lot usage. However, and the attorney has advised that that's a planning and zoning issue. So I don't know that we will, there's some, tonight there's some stuff on the agenda that's good information on that, if anybody's interested in improving, or, you know, if citizens want to do things slightly different. I have some information about the different ordinances that were sent out. Maybe it'd be better just to go over that under item C. Have a discussion about that. I'll defer to that, and I'll come back under item C.
Okay. Is that it?
Hey, can I ask you a quick question? Why do those 2 items, and we talked about it, I forgot to ask you that question, why do those 2 items have to go for the planning and zoning? Is that because that's where they are in the ordinances?
Right. Sometimes you have a choice between putting something in your zoning ordinance or somewhere else. But if it's in your zoning ordinance and it has to do with regulations of what you can do, changing the zoning ordinance. The state law requires you to go through the process, which is planning and zoning has to has to look at it and have a public hearing, and has to come back to city council. City council has to have a public hearing before acting on it. So it's a cumbersome process to change the zoning ordinance.
Emergency manager report, we don't have one tonight. Animal control report is in y'all's package. General business and action items, presentation of website proposal by Joe Negrant with revised gov websites. Joe?
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Myers, I'm the Vice Government Websites. We have a proposal on the table for consideration to build a new website for the borough. What I'd like to do is just quickly go over, recently we conducted a study with the 13 smaller municipalities, all around 1,000 in population. We actually interviewed the residents. They told us how they want the website to be laid out now. So I thought I'd quickly run over that survey, talk about a couple of the items that sort of came on up in regards to your website that where we can do some improvements, show you very quickly a couple designs we've done recently, show you the features that come standard with our websites, and then very quickly how a non-technical individual can do quick edits to it. And I promised Steve I tried to do like 15 minutes to 20 minutes and just hit every high point. But if there's something particular you'd like for me to extrapolate on, by all means, stop me and ask whatever questions you need. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. So just a little bit about our company. We've been building websites for government for over 23 years. What we're known for is creating a website that's easy to use for non-technical individuals, as long as they know 5% of Microsoft Word and they know how to read, they seem to acclimate it very quickly. Secondly, we're known for creating designs that are beautiful, but at the same time it's easy for residents to get information quickly. We're known nationwide. My office is out of Houston, Texas. We have over 2,600 clients nationwide, and we get these design and technology reports all the time. Here's the survey results. This first slide is the common items from the municipal management and the residents. The second slide is exactly how the residents want the website to be laid out. So basically, everyone wants more of a reference or self-help website. In the past, the homepage used to be like a newsletter with lots of paragraphs and everything. It was very convoluted for residents that felt they had to read through everything just to learn how to use the website. So the homepage is supposed to be an information dashboard, quick glance, minimal reading, one button, you're at the information you're looking for. In this area of Texas, 71 to 78% of residents are coming to municipal websites strictly on their mobile phone. So it has to look great on there, it has to be easy for them as if that's their primary tool for getting information. If you're using any type of federal government money, your website must be ADA compliant. So there's different specifications that work well for the vision impaired, for the physically disabled, as well as older individuals like myself, to make it easy for them to read. There's a color contrast specification for those that may only have one finger or a pencil. They need to navigate the website using strictly the keyboard. They can't use the touchpad or the mouse. So we have to put in programming that allows them to do that. And then also for screen readers that they use. They can use mouse over a tab or a picture or a file or a paragraph that reads all this to them. So being a government, you're mandated by the federal government to have all of this built into the website. Residents want to have what's called an application slider, so all your applications from frequently asked questions, agendas and minutes, posting, calendar, everything are all in like a bar with icons on it. You only want to see 5 at a time, but they are mindless scrolling. They don't scroll, so you can put as many as a government as you want in there to make it quickly for residents to get to any type of information they're looking for. As far as social media, the biggest thing residents want is called a social media sharing app. They go to a page of information that they want to share with their friends and family members. They want to be able to pull that information out easy, put it in their personal social media, let's say Facebook, send it out to all of them. So that's a feature that we put into our website. Again, it's all standard. Another thing that residents do sometimes is type in a quick question. When you put it in the search bar, you like for it to try to pull it to the page of the answer rather than, to the home page when you have to look for it. So this is part of your search engine optimization. We even allow the editors, if they want to put in their own keywords on every word, to help increase that search engine attraction and try to pull them to that page of information. As far as the homepage look and feel, this is what the residents want to have to make it easy for them. Again, quick glance, minimal reading, one button, they're anywhere that they need to be on the website. The very first thing they told us is they don't mind a long scrolling homepage. They're on their mobile phones, they kept reminding us, and that they'd rather scroll to get the information than even use that top navigation. Secondly, they don't want any paragraphs on the home page, so if you're compelled to put, this is our mission statement, you've got 5 paragraphs, they'd rather it be a button that says mission statement and they can read it, because that's not something they have to read on a daily basis. But having it there is important so they can see it and they understand what you're doing as a government. So keep the home page clean, not a lot of paragraphs, so again, a quick glance, and they can use that home page as their information dashboard. They want to get to any web page in one click, even if it's a couple levels down. So you have a special navigation that if you allow us, we'll put in there that when you hover over the tab, you'll see all the web pages under that tab. So you just click once and you're there. For news and upcoming events, this was something where we had computer software watching the behavior of the residents. And if you have more than 3 events or 3 news items, they won't look at any of them. So just as a good habit to keep them to 3. But obviously you can hit the news button and they'll go ahead to the full news center. They can read all of them, same thing with the calendar. Pop-up notifications. You have emergency alerts or urgent alerts that come on up. Residents don't want a banner at the top that stays on 24 hours a day. We found that individuals over 50 years old got very agitated by that. When they came back to do something else, they kept being distracted by that. So you want to alert, whether it's a pop-up window or a banner that they can close after they read it so it doesn't bother them after the fact. Also, along with that, they want an e-notification center where they can go through the website to see which topics of interest that they are interested in. And when you update just those particular pages, they'll get an email alert with a link to that information. So they're up to date with what's happening on just the items they are interested in. So it isn't like an email that you send out every week. They don't really care for that. They're only interested in like 30% of what you think they're interested in. So they just select those items, and those are updated and get an email alert. And again, you know, for the ADA compliancy, you can't use cartoons as images. They don't work with the color contrast for the ADA compliancy. But residents respond a lot better to photos. So a lot of our clients will utilize unsplash.com, which is a royalty-free photo website. You can type on in a category, and those pictures will come up. When you use those pictures, it looks like you have a marketing department at your disposal. You look like $1 million. And then again, the scrolling application slider, only 5 at a time, but you can have as many as you want and put all your applications and information there. Your website today, from taking a look at it, we understand residents want an easier way to get information quickly and easily. So we'd like to lay that out in a way that they can do that. Secondly, it seemed to me, I could be wrong, but the meeting minutes haven't been updated for a while. So if we have something where your own staff, like Brandy, can update it on a file like this rather than having to write up an email and send it off to someone and hopefully they put on up. That's faster for them just to go to the page, select edit, upload it, hit save, and they're done. And it's done instantaneously and done right there. For allowing your own staff to edit the website on a file. If you need to add a web page or put up an alert or something, it can be done instantaneously within minutes rather than sending it to someone and hoping they get it in time. This way, the residents want to know what's happening as it's happening. So having staff do it, non-technical staff, should help out a lot. For alerts, road closures, weather alerts, again, being able to set up that alert yourself, even if you're at home and you know we had storms coming through, put that alert up right away for everybody to know yourself quickly. It should be a lot easier for you. I understand you're utilizing some Facebook. What we could do is even take the news center, integrating it. You probably should get your own village Facebook and integrate it with that so that when you update the news center, the Facebook is updated simultaneously. So again, it just takes a lot of work off the individual that's updating the websites, and we have 3 and 4 or 5 things they have to do. They can edit once, and both of them are done. The design stuff, from going to our design department and taking a look at that and seeing what residents say or what kind of design they like, They felt that design was a little bit dark and more intimidating, rather than the government website, you want it to be welcoming. You want people to look at the site and say, hey, I wanted to build a house there, or you just want to show off the vibrancy of the neighborhood there. And then also too, in regards to ADA, you have a lot of ADA errors, so probably this won't happen, but if the government were to look at your website, they'd definitely probably send an audit letter and tell you you have to update all this stuff, or they would let you shut it down. So let that be our problem. Let us make sure it's ADA compliant. And you update content, just make sure you're using photos and not cartoons, and you'll be good. A big thing right now is hacking of websites, and you're hearing it on TV. There's been a 394% increase in small government website hacking. Why are they targeting you guys? Well, number one, some of these, without talking out of turn, these hackers are upset with the government. And since they know that you're a small government, if they hack your website, they feel that you don't have enough money to prosecute them. So a lot of these individuals are students of cybersecurity schools. We need more cybersecurity analysts. So these schools are popping up all over. They're teaching them how to hack a WordPress website, how to hack a Drupal website. We're using the revised government content management platform. It's a proprietary system, and that's a good thing because it's not source code available to the world, so someone can investigate it, interrogate it, and learn how to hack your website. So we haven't had any intrusions in over 8 years, but not only is our system, the hosting environment, we take care of that safe, but we have 4 redundant server farms across the whole United States. So even if you have a power outage, your website is still up if you can get to the internet. We also put the website right here on the web server. When you log in to edit the website without you knowing it, you're actually going behind the firewall to edit on the technology server. And when you select save, it pushes that page over to the website of the server itself, so everybody can see that. But if you were to get a hack, you have a 24-hour monitoring team. You select republish, it republishes out the whole site, overrides the hacker's code, and you're up and running in minutes. You don't have to take backup, restore, or any of this stuff. Again, we're taking care of 2,600 governments. We have the same system that St. Pete's is using, okay? There's nothing, low budget about what you're going to be utilizing. If you need help, we have ways for you to get a hold of us via phone, but there's all kinds of ways for you to get a hold of us 24 hours a day. So this is your website here today. The person that turned us on to you guys was Bayou Vista. They're utilizing us right next door here. Another design we've done close by here is Hitchcock. Hitchcock wanted more of a traditional type of design. The navigation here, as you can see, when you hover over it, you see every single web page under there, so you can click on it and get there. Here's all the applications in that application slider. Here's your upcoming news articles. Just real quick and clean and right to the point. Now, just so you know our design prowess, if you want a custom design from scratch, you want to do special things like increase economic development, you want to increase downtown tourism. I know you don't have any of this stuff, but this is what we did for Lovekin. And you would think that this was, some type of resort town or something by all the stuff we've done here. So we have a great design team, a great technology team, and a phenomenal security team. The features that come with the website would be, either traditional navigation system, or we can use the extended navigation to get to any web page. You have a home page alert that either has a banner or a pop-up window that a resident can close when they don't want to see it anymore. We have an e-notification center where residents will be able to put in their email address and select only the web pages and events that when you do an update, they get an email alert. Got a link to the new information right then and there. So they select what they are interested in and what they want to get the alerts to. A frequently asked questions center. You can have 384 questions on there. None of the residents are going to go ahead and try to read through every question and get an answer. what they're gonna do is go to the search bar and say, I wanna get a dog license. And the answer comes up to them. So that's how it works, is a keyword search, which finds the answers, and pulls it right on up to them. So allows them to get to the answers quickly and easily. Even the document center, it's got the keyword search. You can have all your different categories with all your different types of requests for permits, anything that you need. You can even put your agendas and minutes in here. And then if they're looking for a special type of permit, they'll just type in what kind they're looking for, and tries to bring up the documents that closely match what they're looking for. So the whole goal is to try to get them to get to the information as quick as possible. Now, if you allow us, there's a couple of widgets we like to add in to make life for the residents easier. Let's say there's this page over here, it's from Largo, Florida, talking about how cool Largo is. And maybe I'm thinking of having a destination family reunion there. Well, I can go over here to the social media sharing app, take that content and pull it into one of my social medias and send it out to my friends and family members. I can go ahead and go to the language translator and maybe, you know, I understand Spanish better than English. Let's switch it to that language and read that, and I'm calling out into the city or to the village, you know, I'm asking higher level questions. This next item we're going to install free of charge. You just have to approve it. It doesn't make your website ADA compliant, but it personalizes the view for the resident. So if they do have some vision impurities, they can change the contrast to make it a little bit easier for them to read. Highlight links, change text size. If I have dyslexia, I can make it dyslexia friendly. And then, of course, there's the calendar. You can have as many calendars as you want. You can color code the calendars. It also has a search bar. The calendars themselves, you can put an image or content, links to where it's located, and a Google map will come on up. The residents can save the events to their own personal calendar. Not only that, but not only can they view it by the week, the month, and the day, but they can now see it in a listing view, which seems to be the preference for residents. So that's just some of the features that come standard with it. The way your staff would edit the website would be the following. They would just, by the way, 5 minutes, I'm done if you thought I'm getting too long-winded here. What you would do is just, as a content editor, you would go to the bottom of the web page off of any computer or PC tablet, put in your username and password. Once you're in the editing mode. Anything with the blue box means you can edit that portion of the website. So if I'm going to put up an emergency alert, I'd select edit alert. I'm going to change out the rotating photo gallery and put more pictures in. It takes them out, I'd select edit slider. If I'm editing a page, I just select the page I want to go to and select edit page content. Once I'm in there, we do have frequently asked questions and quick little tutorial videos. This comes with training, by the way, so we'll make sure that whoever's editing the website understands it fully. But there's little things, if you forget how to do something, there's a quick little 5-minute video that can help you, or they can call on it. What I'm going to do right now, some of the things that you guys will probably do on a weekly basis or maybe even daily basis. I'm going to show you how to upload a picture, upload a document into the web page, and link to another website. So upload a picture, I click on the image manager icon. I can drag and drop pictures here, or I can quickly go to my computer and pull images right off of my computer quickly and easily. If there's a picture on the website I want to reuse, I can search for it by name and use that quickly as well. If I want to edit it, I can select edit image. If I want to crop it, a certain portion of it to use, I can do that. Actually, I didn't want to do that. That's a terrible crop.
We're not judging your crop, Joe.
Okay, all right. So I can go ahead and utilize that image. I'll go ahead and make this look a little nicer on the page and make it justified and just put a little bit of spacing around the image. just so it doesn't butt right up to words. And then last but not least, I can just resize it so that it's to the right size of what I need. I want to upload a document, put the name of the document highlighted, go to the link manager icon, and then I can just select upload file. Again, I can pull it off my computer. If it's a Word document, I can check this box and turn it into a PDF document automatically. And I can even reuse documents and put them in different places off of the website. And it's good to put a description over here that works with the screen reading software. So that's what would be read to an individual when they mouse over with their screen reading software. So put a link to another website, put the name of the organization and highlight it. And then all you do is put in the link to where you want it to go. I apologize. Something happened with my internet connection here. This is a part that gets embarrassing, okay, so.
Turn the signal camera
Well,
off.
put it this way, we have 2,600 clients, and, you know, I put references in there, you can call them to see that the software does work.
So the website's down already?
My demo website and somehow the connection that I have, security connection to it.
Joe, I have a question. You ready for questions?
I'm ready for questions.
So let's just say tomorrow we decide we want to do this. You take the current content and the current website and put it into your, let's say, your website template, and you find a home for whatever categories we have today. You try to fit them into the categories for your template. How laborious is that?
So what it is with a special offer I have to you guys, you pick from one of 5 different designs. You don't have to pick it till our project manager calls you. This is the first design that you could select. Here's the second one. Once that is done, what we will do is take your content from your existing website, and we're going to migrate it all over for you into the new site. You won't have to do anything whatsoever. Once that's done, then we do a quality assurance test, check, and then we'll train whoever's going to be doing the editing on the site, and then you go live. So we take care of all that. The only thing you'll have to do is give us maybe about 5 to 7 or 8 high-resolution pictures that you might be able to use on there. Give us your logo if you have one, and what colors you want. And we'll customize one of those designs. We can't make custom changes like move the news center from here to here. You use it as it is. That's how we keep the cost on down.
Okay.
We do all that work.
How many users can you have? Can you do anything?
Just one.
Did you change content?
Just one. We have a special rate for you for just one person.
Okay.
But, you know, you two of you can do it and share the casting. Right.
Can I ask a couple questions real quick?
Yeah.
You mentioned simple things, you know, you want the front page to be simple, 4 or 5 things. Okay, we have 4 items on the front page, pretty simple. We talked about building department, we have that there where you can go in there and take a comment that you want, print it out, and submit it and so on. So a lot of things you talk about we have, and some of the things you talk about we don't have. Could you possibly go through our website and list the things that you would see to add to our website or to our website? We have a lot of stuff here. And a lot of this thing, all these things we already have, but in some things we don't. Specifically, could you tell us, not tonight, but could you go through our website and say, okay, I recommend your website needs this to be done, this that needs to be added, this needs to be added, this needs to be added. So we can see how much more we're getting out of this website versus what we already have today. Plus, you also have to understand, the website person that's going to keep this thing updated is one person. He's got a million things to do all day long, so it's got to be really, really simple. You know, something that you can take care of, so not.
Police department, water department, every department.
I know, every department, so Brandon, that's the urgent, so we gotta be careful. Don't overload the person who's going to input it, because you won't get anything input. You don't give them the list for that, that's not right. Johnny, you can go, you know, maybe the next one, list exactly specifically, what you would desire is to improve it and add things that you would say that you can add to it. Like you tell them, just
Yeah.
what you get it, just
For the most part, the biggest thing really isn't what content's on it. You have a lot of good content, you just can't get to it. It's hard to get to it. So once you move the content on, so I guess what I would recommend is that once the content's moved on over, and I see how our migration team places everything, then I can say, oh, I can go talk with Brandy personally and say, hey, let's add a few things here, and I can do that personally. I'm actually the business development director. I'm the one that commissioned all these studies, so I have the knowledge here, or I can research and get the knowledge back, so I could do that. It would be better for me to do it at that time, rather than sort of guessing on how our migration team will.
You're not gonna get there.
Add on to that.
I would just like to see a list of things you would recommend we need to do to our website. That's fine.
Yeah, the biggest thing, like I said, is the interface to get information. That's the biggest thing you're lacking. We can add on stuff later on.
Specific. Okay.
We have the water department, fire department, police department, it's all part of our website, so that's still falls to that one administrator.
Well, one thing we can do, if you want an additional editor, so they can go just to their portion, add in there, it's just an extra $100 a year. So the annual fee, if you want to run through the proposal quickly and easily, basically here it is right here. So for the $2,850, you're getting a website that's a government website. It's secure, AD compliant, ready to go, and that includes the migration of everything. Then, oh, I apologize, you have up to 3 users.
That's what I was going earlier, I thought.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I talked with Steve and he told me about how we would need some additional individuals. Yeah, so you have 3 users to be able to edit the website. So one for police, one for fire department, and Brandy, you guys can edit your own. And if you ever need additional content edits, it's just an extra $100 for the whole year.
There's 5 departments that keep their own website.
Okay, so
Police department, fire department, community association, building department, and the city.
okay,
Those are all different websites, right?
They're all.
They're different content.
The Tika, when you hit on the Tika website, it goes to their website. So they maintain their own. We don't touch it. And the same thing with the fire department. They have their own thing.
Oh.
Link to it.
oh, well, we,
The
then,
building department in the city, and the police is ours.
Well, to, Joe, to me, in my business, we look at best practices. When I hear that other 13 other municipalities use this format for their website, and we're not, that's a red flag for me, right? If they're doing something we're not, and you mentioned, I thought, a lot of really good things that you do, not just in the support, but in compliance, that I think we need to be doing personally. And if we wanted to, we had 3 users, and we wanted to add more users. If Brandy was just adding, as an example, if she was just putting agenda and calendar items up there, we wanted somebody else, the EOC guy, the emergency guy, to have a login to do emergency messages. $100, he can do that too, right? So
Exactly.
we can have as many as we need to, so that we're not overloading one person. Because the other thing is, you said, is timing. Like, we still don't have minutes up for May, and that's another issue for me too, is that we need to be timely.
and if the fire department wants to save some money and not have to pay for theirs, you can add them in free of charge. As a department down there, the fire department has a place, police department, they're all on one website rather than having all these websites all over the place.
Moving back to what you said, Tika and the fire
Tika
department,
and the fire department.
when you hit them on our website, it goes to your website. And y'all, is that what you mean?
Karen manages it for the fire
The
department.
fire department has
The
their own.
fire department made their own website, but the other departments are on. Yeah, we do have, so all that's on there currently is a link to our website.
Oh, then
But
they-
yeah, I mean, we could change that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't need to,
No, we just link to it.
yeah, it's their link and then they're doing their own.
And the Tika does a terrible job of keeping theirs up to date. They just don't do it.
But Karen, are you saying like Tika and the water board, they're all housed on the village site?
Yes, yes,
So they're not using links, they're housed there.
right. They're housed here.
The water department keeps their own. Water department.
Generally keeps their own, they just go to our website to get the pay.
But the fire department and the Tika is just linked.
So at some point in time, you would want them to be address their own area?
You never got that.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Well, they would have to edit their own.
Yeah, that's everything on
It's easy.
Each department, Tika, fire, water, they edit their own, we don't do it.
the, yeah, right.
They just go to the site, hit water department, it pops up, and if it's edited, it's there.
So that application slider bar, you can have fire, police, and when I hit that.
The water department does use our website.
Okay.
They're actually, they're in our system.
Okay,
Whereas the fire department, police department,
okay. So you can still do that with this side. You're probably using the strong application slider with the hands.
yeah, we could put a list that shows all the different additions that we can have with your system, that would be great. I know we like it sometimes.
You know, I understand your question. I felt like I saw it when I saw the presentation, me personally. I thought I saw the things that we could have that we don't have, and the functionality and how much easier it is. So, I mean, I don't know if you do what he says, but
Yeah,
I felt like I
like
sort
I
of saw
said, for
that.
me to do it and do you justice, I would like, you know, what I can do is if we were to move forward, once it's placed, I can call up Randy and say, okay, here's some stuff to add. I don't know how we're gonna put it into the site, but I could talk about and see how it's placed and then add additional items that I think.
So if we had to add something to each department, which add it to their own self, instead of like sending it to the manager and have the manager add it. The website manager, is that correct? So this is
Whoever-
added by each department who has somebody working at the department. Say for the fire department, for instance, she would add everything that needs to be added to that website for her.
Right.
We just have to buy a couple extra licenses, so it only comes.
Well, you only want people that's at the head of that department doing it. You don't want to, we're not gonna take over their department, Tika, fire.
Right.
And the police need to do theirs, the city just does ours, and each department needs to take care of their own department. And if they can go in there and edit it themselves versus sending it to a web manager or something like that, if you teach them.
So I'm curious, the day-to-day or ready to week updating you would have to do, like, watching this, it says in the minutes to somebody else at the AR site, you can take the document, you type up and add it right to the site, right, just instantaneous done. Calendars, I'm just curious what other things would fall to you, that you would have to put on there on a regular basis, and does it seem easier to you based on what you saw than what you're doing now?
It seems easier than instead of having to send it to someone.
And wait for them to do it,
Wait for
right?
them, and then I have to send them a text to tell them I sent you an
Is
email.
that right?
Then she has to depend on them to get it on there.
Understood.
And then if they're on
Yes, that is-
vacation, we don't get it on there, and then we have to hear from previous.
I think that feature is really, really good. In fact, that was the intent we had when we started.
That's why I did it. That-
It was the intent, and it never played out.
That's my huge problem with all of this.
What's that?
All of this we were promised with the website we already paid for. So I'd like to have those people come fix that. And we can pull out those proposals that I voted in favor of, that we were supposed to be able to update everything very easily and be compliant with regulations. That's why I would.
It's not happening.
But he made a point of, ours is not ADA compliant.
Right.
I don't think we were.
Media programming
I
is
think we
something
were.
that
You think we
Yeah,
do
were?
on a
I think it
daily
worked.
basis.
We can pull out the
We're not
proposals
really
from back
getting
then.
federal money. We're not
Yeah.
getting federal money, so.
Well, it might have been in the proposal, but did they deliver? Please, question.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
Well, to me, the emergency alerts, the EOC guy having a chance to, that we live in catastrophe zone, we're gonna have things come up, be more user friendly. I think there's a lot of benefit to commercial.
Well, definitely a lot of improvements that you mentioned tonight that we need. There's no question.
So you have that, you have a design that's built the way residents want it done. Security, you can't beat our security. All of our
I went
competitors.
to the Vital Vista website, and it was okay. I mean, I didn't see anything in there that was gee whiz, was great, easy to use, much different than what we have here. I didn't see, they have a problem too, keeping theirs updated. Obviously, you don't put the data in, if they're doing good. If you don't have somebody
Right.
in
If you got the
data,
tools,
they're doing
you
good.
have to use them. If you're not using them.
So everybody has the same problem with websites. If you don't put the data,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Okay, what's the plan?
Okay, well, we've had the presentation, we need to go to okay. I need to go to the next item. Okay. Are there any more questions on this? Okay, let's go to item B, discussion and possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action on presentation by Joe Nagrat with revised website. Okay, need a motion for discussion.
Motion.
Okay, start.
I can start, I would like, if you could, because this is the important person here that's gonna have to handle all this. I would like you to get with Brandy and say, okay, Brandy, this is what we're gonna give you. This is what we're gonna improve on your site. These are the things, the features that you're lacking. These are the things you need to have. Let Brandy make a good assessment. She's the one that's got to do all the work. And all we're gonna do is sit there and play with the computer. Somebody's got, she's got, did you get with her and kind of brief everything in more detail?
It's all in the proposal, ready, not presented exactly that tonight, but.
I mean, all the things you said were great. All the things you said were
What do
good.
you think is easier?
It sounds easier. I can't.
And who would teach her?
Training department.
Would they come here and teach her, or is it a one-on-one person thing, or how?
No, it's through Zoom meetings. But again, it's real easy to utilize, and she can even call me when she's got a problem. She can call them. There's no additional cost for retraining. Yeah, but new content editors, it's all included in retraining.
Okay, do you have 24/7 support?
Yep, through our customer portal and via emails 24/7. If it's after hours, if for some reason you're panicking, if you call my office, it goes to my cell phone. So you're gonna get a hold of someone even if it ends up being me.
Okay.
I think it's a more user-friendly site than what we have now. And it's not that our content is necessarily bad right now. It's just that in a format like this, it's easier to navigate and it's easier to find. And hopefully it's easier to upload changes like we were talking about. But to Hunter's point, I think we do need to go back to the current vendor, just see what we're getting and what we paid for and what we're not getting. And, you know, because if we are thinking about a change, we may need to ask for some compensation back from them if they haven't delivered what they
Well, I got to get the
promised.
compensation back, but what the deal was, another thing on this, and it's up to y'all, I don't have a vote for this either way. If she can upload it and not have to send it to Susan B or whatever, I don't know.
Easier.
And right now, if we had.
What do you have to say, Hunter? I'm sorry.
I think if we're gonna do this, and I hope we don't, without getting our current vendor to come in and see what it would take to fix the website to everybody's satisfaction, but if we're going to do this, and we're going to be doing regular updates, I would ask that we also consider a budget for a contractor to be hired to do all these updates, because you're gonna get updated with, hey, we have this new website, get this on the website, can you get this on the website today? Can you get this on the website by Friday? And if we have a $5,000 budget for a year of contractor updating the website, I would be more agreeable to it, because Brandy's got other priorities.
Because it'll be faster for her to go to a page, select edit, upload it, and save it, and send an email. So it'll be faster for her using this interface.
She doesn't have time to do that.
But she's
Well,
saying
she's doing that email, right?
She's sending it to them, and they're not doing it.
And it's longer for her to send the email than it is for her to update the website. That's the
Yeah, you guys take it.
Steve?
One of the purposes behind it is a lot was ease of use, but the other thing was, and my goal was to take all that away from her. I'll volunteer to do 100% of the posting on there and take it off from her. I don't have an issue with that at all. She don't have to do anything with it. I'll post it all on there. I can manage her website.
But what we're trying to do is, so as in any job, we won't be here forever. So what we were trying to do is make each department head responsible for their own. Because in any day, I mean, you know how it is, if you're gonna retire from this, I'm gonna retire from this, everybody's gonna retire from it. So we wanted the department heads, so the police, the fire, Tiki, and all of them be responsible for their unit and not involve anybody on board. Nothing against anybody on board, but whoever's in office, whoever is the head of that whoever's the head of that department needs to be updating their department instead of everybody saying Brady hadn't got the minutes on. Well, she ships it to Susan B., I'm just using that name, I don't know the lady's name. And if she's on vacation, which we've had before, she's a one-man band.
There's no reason though, if you had multiple persons saying, if I took over that and I volunteered to do that, there's no reason.
It needs to be a paid employee. It needs to be a paid employee that's doing the
And
update.
all of the information needs to come from the department. The department heads. It can't be coming from us.
So,
The building department, he has to do the stuff for the building department. Randy has to do the police stuff. Adrian has to take care of the police department. Fire department has their own. Water department has to take care of their own
Yeah.
stuff. And they
Yeah.
have their own thing. We're not supposed to do that.
The stuff from the city needs to come from the city employee.
Investment at the water department.
Right.
I agree with Goldie 100%, but these come from the department, and not from the office, this time of
Well,
the
this system will allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to pay, he gives you 3, and if we have 6, we pay $300 a year more.
yeah.
So that's what it is. But I think that each department ought to handle their own. And that we don't, and then if we have to hire somebody to do it, and then that keeps anybody from having to be responsible for it. And then later on in life or later during the year, you're not here, then we have to go again. So you want to either hire somebody and have all department heads doing it, because that's their responsibility, and nobody knows better than the department, than the person running that department. Or supposedly it's supposed to be that way. Okay, so we've had discussion and
This is
possible.
your contract, 1 year, if we don't like it, we just say goodbye. How much is the contract say?
We usually like to have a 3-year contract, probably 2, because no one on average is able to change their website.
Somewhere around again, what the cost was,
I'll do a 1-year contract if that's,
is it 2,800 a year, or what did you say?
1,800.
1,800 plus, what, plus anything? That's it?
Yeah, it's all inclusive. It takes care of the hosting, security software, software for editing. Training, as many trainings as,
That's after the initial fee to build it. There's a fee to build it and then 1,800 to maintain it.
right. And the 1,800 includes retraining, hosting, security.
And how much was the building? What part of it? 3,000, 2,800?
I think it's 25.
28, is that what I heard, 2850?
28. We got 2,850 plus 1,800.
So you'd be 2,100 if you had 6 departments a year. And he would have to train each department head, or each department head would put somebody responsible for it. And I think that's the way it ought to be. That's my personal opinion. Y'all have the vote.
No, I agree, our person is Randy, and
And then that relieves her. She's running the courts,
understood.
she's doing the city business, she's doing the budgets, she's doing the audits, and then we're asking her to do this. It's not right. We don't have the time, she's only one person. So each department head can do it. Now, she can put on there that little bit that she would have to put on there for the city. We're doing a budget.
That's my point, right.
Yeah, that she can do. But as far as the rest of it, each department head needs to do it. So I'm gonna go back to this now, discuss and take possible action on presentation. So I need to get a motion or
Do we want to take action, or to Hunter's point, do we want to get the current vendor in here and talk?
That's up to y'all.
Make
That's
a
not,
decision.
y'all
What do you
need,
think?
y'all need to make a motion on something.
Or is it worth doing?
In my opinion, it's not, but I think that vendors have their chance. I don't even know who they are.
So we're not paying them much.
This sure seems like it's a heck of a lot easier.
We're not talking about that much money.
No, it's not.
Unless it has-
I don't see, but I don't believe
The money shouldn't be the issue at all. Should be, we're getting a better part, that's what we want.
I'll certainly happy to make the motion. We change our web, I don't know how you want the motion to read, but we change our web service, hosting service, our internet, our web hosting service. Is that fair, Joe? How would I say that?
Revise the Gov website.
Yeah, I'll do that. I make the motion, we make the change.
John's got an idea.
No, I was just listening to make sure that the motion
I
makes
want to say
sense.
it right, it really didn't make makes sense, and I think I was talking out loud while I was thinking about
The
it.
motion is to contract with these people to host your website.
To revise and host, I think would be.
Revise and host with revised government websites, right?
Correct.
So I've got a motion that we accept revised gov websites. You have a second?
I'll second.
Let me just ask, we're gonna start this now or next fiscal year?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, would it be easier to put this in the next year's budget to start it after
We don't have
September?
anything in the budget.
Do you have an existing term on your contract with your existing host company?
I don't know that, Chair.
I don't think so, but I don't want to be.
Probably trying to think about it before we rush off. Had more money.
Contractual obligation, yeah.
Okay, so what we can do is get a motion, you can get a second, contingent on if we have a contract with the other one or not.
And we'll have to probably vote in the next fiscal year.
And we'll have to probably put it in writing, give them notice that we're canceling whatever they have. So y'all can, if you want to make that motion with contingent upon the other one, we can do that.
How about I make the motion that we change to revise government websites upon termination of the current company?
Okay.
How about that? Is that okay? Or do we need to change the budget?
Next fiscal
That's
year.
proper wording, okay?
Yeah, starting in next fiscal year.
When is next fiscal year?
October.
October first.
What I'd like to extend a special offer to you guys. If you guys do select us, you watch your website now, I'll take any type of down payment you have and the remaining balance will go around. Done with every started off now. This is something you need library. That's just my opinion, and I'm local here, I wanna help you guys out. So any down payment, whatever dollar amount, we'll start the website now and build the remainder of the next fiscal, which is October. If you feel it's
I think that's fair, assuming we can get out of the current contract.
Well, again, Randy says we don't have a current contract.
She doesn't think.
I don't think we do.
So we need to verify.
Yeah.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
Can I make a suggestion as a citizen? Don't shut down the current one until you get this one up.
It won't be shut down.
You tell those guys you're cutting them off and they're gonna pull the plug tomorrow and then you ain't gonna have a website.
I hope they don't watch our YouTube channel, by golly.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of that.
All right, well, let's do something here. So,
We have a motion and a second.
I second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to go with revised gov websites contingent upon our contract with the existing web page. All right, all in favor? All against?
Nay.
Funding, what are we gonna do about funding?
Contingency, I guess.
Now, what are you talking about, $1,000 or something? Sure. Okay, we can handle that.
So all in favor? And one nay, 100 no. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Presentation and discussion of proposal ordinance amendment of Tiki Island Ordinance Committee covering Article 1, Section 6-1, Chapter 6, Article 3, Division 2, Section 6-139, Chapter 6, Article 3, Division 3, Section 6-151, and 6-152, Chapter 40, Article 1, Section 40-1, Chapter 40, Article 2, Section 40-37, Chapter 44, Article 2, Section 44-31, and 44-32. All right,
I think Alan got it.
Alan?
Yeah. Okay, let's just start off with the load rating for the roads. We looked into that, and one of the first things I did was I went and talked to the chief about, his take on all this, and it's pretty clear that this is a law enforcement thing. It is like anything else, it's a load rating. There's state officers that do weight, enforcement and stuff. So it's a little bit more complicated than just throwing some numbers out on an ordinance that says you got a 68,000 pound weight rating or whatever. So what we looked at was making it compliant, if you will,
with the state law, which is the Texas Transportation Code, various sections of it, where they define what they call a weight enforcement officer. So, let me back up. If you go to 30,000 feet, if you have a weight ordinance on the roads and you don't intend to enforce it, it kind of raises the question, why do you have a weight ordinance to begin with? But,
Can I answer that question for you?
yes.
So the day somebody drives way over the weight limit and they ruin the bridge, you've got a better basis for recovering the cost of repairing the bridge than if you didn't have a rule in the first place.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah, and what you're describing is pretty large cities that have the certified weight people. I know LaPorte does. I had a lawsuit with them involving a weight issue years ago. I don't think it's practical for Tiki to do that. Maybe it is, but yeah.
Yeah, well, so the Tiki officers would have to go to pretty extensive training. They would have to buy some pretty expensive equipment. I don't see Tiki's officers doing that, or I don't see Tiki funding that, honestly. So if the ordinance gets enforced, it'll be the Department of Public Safety or something. And I guess if Tiki has an issue with some particular company just starts driving big trucks in, I guess the chief would maybe get in touch with the highway patrol and say, I need you to come sit at the Bolero for a few days and help us out. So, but it seemed important to me in looking at this that there's a couple of definitions in here. The state uses the term commercial motor vehicle, and they use the term construction machinery. So I figured if you're gonna have I figured that this needs to have specific definitions of what a commercial motor vehicle is. Those are the ones that weight enforcement officers focus their effort on. And it's a pretty loose definition. If it's a truck that delivers goods, it's probably a commercial motor vehicle. And so if it's overweight, then maybe the highway patrol would come in here. Let's see, the other thing was, so there's multiple references we noticed in the 6 it's the weight rating, the load limit currently was in 40-37, 6, 151, 152, and 153. There was a reference to what our weight limit is in every one of those sections. So one of the things that, my personal thing is I used to write lots and lots of specs, and I don't ever want to have multiple references, because you say, well, we need to change that, you go change it in one, but you don't change it in the other 2 or 3. So what I suggested, or what we wrote, I think tonight this is just for discussion, you aren't going to take any action as far as I know, but what we did was move the weight rating, actual definition of what the weight rating is, to the law enforcement 40-37 section. And that's the only place in the spec that the load rating appears. So if you want to know what that is, you go to that one place. And
What we need to do is, because we've updated that section 151 again, and it's in paragraph C. So we have to get, if you guys would go and get the one that we approved, and fix this one.
yes, right, I know about that.
So we don't have, because what you're referencing, the flood stuff is in the old book. This new ordinance we approved, a lot of that stuff you're talking about is already in there. So if you just use the one that was approved and modify that one, it would make it easy.
I didn't get that till last week.
Yeah.
By the way, it's still not on the website. If I go get the Word document for 6/151, it's still not the one from April.
So did they change to the weight thing? That didn't.
No, we specifically made the weight thing
No.
68,000 pounds.
That was approved in April.
Yeah.
Okay, I have trouble keeping up with some of these.
No, we made
It happened or
We
not.
have trash container required delivery, special load limits for concrete trucks, all that stuff has been identified.
I mean, you started with the comprehensive amendment to the building code,
Yeah,
and then some of that was in there, right? And then you did that amendment.
and we cleaned it up and put it all in this one. So if we just update the one we approved,
Yeah,
make it
there's
easier.
some other,
Yeah, just take that one.
there's some fine tuning of the documents that all
So
was sent.
everything Alan says structurally makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
Question is just, what do you want the regulations to be is the starting place with anything. And your ideas about how to present it more effectively are all correct.
Well, and so we took anything related to law enforcement out of construction. Like the building official will notify the police that there's a heavy truck or whatever, all that stuff. The division or chapter 6, section 6, I guess you call it, 151, is really now just, there is a section in there for permitting, because that's an administrative thing. It's a local Tiki permit, and I don't even know if the highway patrol would even acknowledge that as being, because they have their own state permitting system, very sophisticated now. And so I think it really is just a Tiki administrative thing where we just tell a guy he can drive a heavy truck on the road. I mean, it's really not part of transportation code. And so that's more administrative, so we just left the administrative things in 6, 151, 152. That 153 is already gone away. And so there's really nothing in there that, it just references back to section 40-37. If you're looking at the construction section and you want to know what's the load limit on the road, if you're a contractor, it tells you to go to 40-37 to find that information.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with all the stuff that's out there. We just need to modify the current one and put your words in there, so maybe clean it up. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a question. I have a couple just questions or points on some of these, and I don't know if we need to take time tonight. Do we want to give that feedback to them tonight, or can we do that offline?
No, we can do it offline. He's just going over what they're doing right now.
Okay.
And it's just a presentation and discussion. They'll have to put it together and formally present it to y'all, and then y'all go from there.
That's kind of where we are here is, there's a whole package of different things that Alan and the committee have worked on. And the first question is, does council want to move forward with those? And which ones do you want to move forward with? Because we're about to start doing a bunch of work on those things. And I didn't think that was appropriate unless we knew that you guys were okay with doing the work.
Well, that was kind of the intent tonight. I mean, because y'all, everybody was given a copy just to see. So hopefully you had questions, if you got to ask those questions tonight. Then we go back and make changes or relook at it if we need to.
Yeah, and my job is to help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, but somebody's got to make that decision, not me. And right now, the committee's making it initially, and you guys have to decide whether you want to do that, and whether you want to make the changes.
Well, we can go through each one, construction activity and the weight thing.
That the ones we have listed, let's go through them, and then if there's any comments, you can go through it. And of course, y'all gonna give them permission to continue to bring them into an order.
What's the second one you want to talk about?
You mean the second?
So on this list that we're talking about, you started with the weight, we finished with that weight.
Oh,
Look at your
Did you
next
done
one.
with the weight? Or did you?
I think the general concept, it's more of a concept, is that it's out of construction and it's in the law.
So there's
I totally agree.
So,
there's a lot.
I've been saying that a long time.
Debate over the number from the bridge of what the number is. Are you changing that, or is it still the same as what?
everything's matching what's on the bridge. And then I added, Ray had done like 68,000 and 32,000, and I added 20,000 for a single axle, because a weight enforcement officer he may weigh a UPS type truck, and if it's over 40,000 pounds, believe it or not, they would be in violation of the law. And so I just added the 20,000 single axle is the 3 designations the state uses. And then the other thing is just the fact that, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Well, if I could help, I think what you're proposing is to clean up. You're really not changing it substantively. You want to clean up the weight. Or just make it, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Some of these changes are substantive changes that you've got, some of these other ordinances, but that one doesn't sound like it is.
right. And so really what I started to say was in 40-37, I added the definition of a weight enforcement officer, but then I read and I figured that I added a reference today, it's not in there, to the penalty, because the state of Texas, if a if an officer writes a ticket on Tiki Drive, they have to have a penalty to go along with that. Well, the state has it all spelled out. Believe it or not, it's $100 fine, between $100 and $250 fine, which the concrete company aren't going to worry too much about. But anyway, and you would be better to answer that, but it seems like if it's law enforcement, it has to have a penalty if you commit an offense. And so then I just said, refer to transportation code, whatever, which is spelled all out.
And I can look at that, but I'm not sure that the transportation code provisions that provide by the state highways apply to our local streets.
It's pretty generic, but anyway, yeah, you can look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, everything comes down through the weight measures sort of section of the transportation code. And they've got about a bunch of things spelled out as far as how they regulate trucks on the highway. And so what we're doing here is, I envision we were trying to avoid rewriting a whole law for Tiki when we could just piggyback off the state law.
No, that's a good idea.
If possible.
100%.
The other thing we talked about that was discussed was drainage.
And we're going out there for that. In this thing, we're also talking about dumpsters required, you change that. And,
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. We need to go. I'm gonna go down the list.
Yeah.
Okay. On 6-151, we cleaned up the definition of acceptable construction site by making it more objective. We removed the words reasonable and tidy, where it now just says you must maintain a clean construction site. I don't think having those sort of flowery, reasonable, and tidy words in there serve any purpose. So it's just clean construction site.
That's pretty.
And then the other thing we did was, for clarity, we took, the dumpster was already in A, but it's a big long paragraph. It starts off talking about trash containers, which to me is like a 55-gallon barrel for cups and plates. And then all of a sudden it switches and starts talking about dumpsters. So we just made that a B. I just took half of that paragraph and made it B. It really states the same thing, but then it says 20-yard dumpster minimum required for a new home construction or $50,000 project.
you took out the stuff on the remodeling. Says additions or remodeling, removal of trailer 50% or bigger. You took that out. Why did you take that out?
Well, what we figured was that you could, and throughout all of these, the numbers that are in there are kind of just what the committee thought was a good number. You could change it to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. So if a person is tearing out a significant amount of house, the value of the project is going to be 25, 50, 75,000 or more. Nowadays, probably more. So we just figured when they came in to apply for a permit, I think on the permit they took the construction amount, right, the approximate or whatever.
No, only on new construction.
Oh, I thought they did.
Yeah, because Daryl, as far as what kind of dumpster you need, Daryl, when someone gets a permit, Daryl can determine if it's expertise that he had, whether you need a 20 dumpster or a 40 dumpster. Taking this out completely, then it eliminates it. Because it's only for new home construction and $50,000. So that pretty much wipes out having dumpsters for remodeling.
As I said,
So
it's up to you to decide whether it's 10,000, 20,000, 5,000. I
That needs to
really
stay in the way it was. That needs to stay in, because here we determine whether you need a dumpster, or a pickup truck, or whatever, you know.
Well, that's the problem. We want to take the interpretation, where it's black and white for Daryl. We don't leave it open.
It's not Tiki Island's business how much I'm spending with my contractor.
But the time that
Well, that or what size
you got
dumpster
only two
too. I mean, I'm
categories. The
still,
only time you need a dumpster is new home construction and $50,000. I mean, that's not when you need a dumpster.
well, that's exactly, maybe we need to look at it.
So,
It's about keeping the job site clean, period. That's what the intent.
Right now, we got homes being built without dumpsters. So, but that's his interpretation, whether it's needed or not. So, new homes, so that was the reason, if we put that in there and just put a dollar amount, you know, you can change that dollar amount to $100,000. I mean,
It's unenforceable. I mean, you can say, well, it's actually 100, or maybe it's 40, and they're all gonna be 49,000, 50.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't wanna do a dumpster, they're gonna lie about the value. You're not gonna have Daryl.
Sounds like that residents to be rewritten. They have to tell you. I didn't know that. So if I come in and say I'm gonna remodel my house, the city has no idea whether I'm spending 10,000 or.
I don't know how much I'm gonna spend remodeling my house when I start.
Well, you have to apply for a permit. So
Yeah, but.
Yeah, we don't ask for value on
Yeah.
remodels.
Do you ask for scope of work?
Yes.
Okay, well.
I mean, and that's based off of what you're doing, you know, because there's what we call a major remodel, and then, you know, there's little repair work.
Because there's a permit fee already set for an amount for a major, minor, whatever. So it's not going off of if you have 50,000 and you're charging 10 cents.
Who determines major minor? I mean, if I tear out all my kitchen, is that major or minor?
If you got a house, that's major.
Well, then you need a 20-yard dumpster. I mean,
And there again, I don't know why we need to even know that. The intent is to have a clean job site that's cleaned up every day, doesn't have trash and stuff floating all over.
how about a dumpster on every job site?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the question about why wouldn't new construction always require at least 20 cubic yard dumpster? I can imagine why you build a house without.
Code does require.
Well, let me make one comment there.
On a new construction, it requires porta potty and a dumpster.
Right.
And that's in code.
But we went to the
On the other
equipment.
side, is a dumpster, are there various definitions of a dumpster?
Well, there's 10, 20, 30, and 40.
Okay, that's my question. So can you build a new home with a 10?
You can build a new home with a 10 if you want to and dump it every day.
That's right.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And there's some
you can
job
have it
sites-
dumped as many times as you want. A 40 you would dump every month.
Some of these
20.
job sites, there's no room for a dumpster. I'm just being honest. So there's a lot of them that trailer it every day, and those sites sometimes are cleaner than the ones that have dumpsters in there. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the neighbor, you've got to live next to it, they're literally.
Yeah, if it's clean, it's clean.
Dumpsters sticking out in the street.
Yeah, well, exactly, and then they, you know, people throw their fish and stuff in there, and now it's stinking, you know.
Okay, let's,
I'm just,
Mayor, can I suggest something? So if we're gonna go through all of these and debate all the specifics or whatever, you're not gonna get to a resolution because you don't even have an ordinance in front of you yet. Really, the message the committee needs back from the board is, do you want us to proceed with a draft ordinance that deals with these issues without agreeing with all the specifics, recognizing that that might get changed? And so the first question for the committee is, or for you speaking to the committee is, do you want them to proceed with is all that part of what you call the weight limit? The dumpster thing's part of that too?
No, we were, yes, it used to, that's what I said. The weight limit for the roads used to be in all of these sections, which are really construction sections. So we removed it out of there and put it all in another section. So really, but while we were there, we were just cleaning up some stuff. We're trying to get rid of a lot of ambiguity, like major construction versus minor. Because if I'm building, if I hire a contractor and he says, I'm not putting a dumpster out there, I would say, I want you to have a dumpster. Well, it's not in the cost of the job, I'm not gonna do it. Then, you know, it's sort of to protect the citizens too.
untidy site, or a non-clean site, that's siteable offense.
So again, the question for the board
the
is.
question is, we need to, yes, we want them to proceed. Y'all need to say, yes, we want y'all to
You
proceed
want to
with it.
proceed with that, because of the.
We can just
I think
easily
this
put
one,
that verbiage back
I want to
in.
proceed with this one, take the existing one, which includes trash containers, deliverable construction site activities, also includes, takes into account the concrete trucks is included in here, the repairs, the temporary sanitary facilities, and so on and so on. Take the one that's there now and modify this one and bring that to us. With all the right words, and they'll think we're fine.
We won't be
They'll be fine.
So it might be helpful to vote on each one separate. So does the board want the committee to submit a proposed ordinance? You get to debate any issues you have with the ordinance. You're just, if you want them to spend the effort and try and help them write the ordinance, the money we need on this ordinance.
here's what I would like, if I could say it. I don't want these guys to go on working something, we're gonna go up here and change. I mean, if we're interested in making changes, I think people ought to join their committee and roll their sleeves up and then bring it here. I'm not an ordinance guy, so honestly, when I read this, I thought it looked pretty good to me, right? I mean, the changes you made were redlined and all the additions, but I don't know a lot about ordinances, so I would hate for them to bring something and we debate changing the size of the dumpster for 30 minutes or not have the size of the dumpster.
But it was my understanding, the way this committee got formed was the fact that ordinances were brought to the alderman without any review process. They just, on a Tuesday night, it's like, here's our new ordinance for so-and-so, and it's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't know we were gonna do that, why are we doing this, why are we doing that? So the idea was to have a little bit more interaction back and forth with this, we're just secretaries, we're just word processor people, and we hear what we think people want to change. And that was the idea, was to avoid having, this take action on 6-153 when the aldermen haven't even seen yet. But, well, they see it on Thursday night or whatever, but I mean, they don't get much time to think it through before the meeting.
I agree. My question now is, if it's not correct, you'll tell me. But we got this a while back, so if I had an issue, to Ray's point about, go back in and add the remodel part or whatever, which may be a good suggestion, to reach back out to the committee, have a discussion, see if they come to, and we'll try to bring out some final version where the input's already been given. That will be mine, so that we don't sit up here and debate every issue.
And I understand that,
Is that not fair?
but we have to live with the Open Meetings Act, which says when you guys are making decisions, debating things, it's got to be in this room at a properly called meeting in front of the public.
I understand.
Yeah, and then we can't have the assumption that you're going to rubber stamp what the committee does unless we want the committee to start meeting in public meetings and posting their meetings and all the rest of that. The assumption has to be you're going to get something from them, and the solution is if you get something the day before or whatever, don't act on it. Say, I need a month to study it or whatever. It's a solution to the problem, one of the solutions to the problem that Alan was talking about. But this is a way of doing that. The committee prepares an ordinance and submits it to you, but you're still going to be looking at it. At some point in time, you got to have the input about, yeah, that's exactly what I want, or no, I want 40 tons and not 20 tons.
You suggested taking smaller bites.
That's what I'm suggesting, and I think there's a little bit of putting unrelated things together and trying to fix things. I applaud everything you guys are doing. But my suggestion is, again, there's like 5 different basic substantive issues, subjects y'all are dealing with.
Oh, in here?
Yeah, is that you take those one by one and you guys, you either give them the feedback, yes, go forward with that, or not.
I think this is ready to go forward.
And going forward with it also, I think, if I understand, means spending some money with John to help formulate the final product.
Yeah, my assumption is it's an ordinance ready to be enacted by you is what's presented.
Right.
And I was hoping there was one, just like.
So if we don't think changing this ordinance has enough value to merit spending some thousands of dollars, then we say, ordinance committee, put that one down. It's not gonna make a big enough
Yeah,
difference.
and it's not like there'd be thousands of dollars for even individual one meeting, but. Yeah, I mean, but it is, it's still money, and also I dread being caught in the middle between the committee and the council. That's why
That's what we had here, huh?
Fast worker, really fast worker.
That's why I'm hoping that you'll give them feedback now before I put my time in.
Let me ask a question. You mentioned those meetings. If I individually give the committee some feedback that I want to change in there, that's fine, isn't it?
Probably.
It's one council member to the committee.
Probably, but if you're doing that, then that's likely that any one or more of the other 4 and the mayor are doing the same
Done
thing.
independently, is that
So they
okay?
do that independently, can't they?
That gives me concern, because that sounds like you're replacing.
You're replacing the meeting. You're replacing the meeting.
Yeah, you're just.
So
Yeah.
the alternative then is to talk about all this detail in this setting.
Right.
A special meeting.
Right, and I was just saying that, and that's why I think you ought to divide it up instead of trying to do 5 different subjects at the same
For
time.
now, why don't we just, for now, can I suggest, let's just do this one, and get John to put it on the ordinance, and then next time we can do another one.
Yeah.
Do two, because I have a lot of comments on a lot of these things, they're gonna take us till midnight.
That was my
So let's go
concern.
to section 6-151. Everybody go to section 6-151. Maintenance construction sites. Let's knock this one out, and then we'll go to the next one.
Let's go to this one, we talked about it.
And you're gonna give feedback. It's not on the agenda to approve anything tonight.
No,
So it's only give
We're gonna give you
feedback.
approval to go forward with those.
Let's go forward with this one.
If you wanna go back to, we were talking about the dumpster that came up.
Yeah, that's section
Explain
150.
how that became B instead of being all
Why don't
incorporated.
you clean the words up like Darrell suggested, the dumpster thing, work with Darrell and whatever the right words are, dumpsters.
Yeah, well, okay, that's not,
It was the
that's not gonna come as a submission, but my understanding, the whole idea was to get out of this business of one guy has to have a dumpster and the other guy. And it's just Darrell, and I'm not saying you do anything wrong, I'm just saying, he drives up and goes, well, that's a really clean and small job site, you don't need a dumpster. Then he goes down the street to contractor B and says, that's a filthy job site, you need to go get your 20-yard dumpster. And if I were a contractor, I'd be like, well, last month I didn't have to have one, next month I did, the guy across the street doesn't have one, the guy down the street does. And to me, it was, I thought that the village got like when you file for a renovation permit, I thought there was a price attached to it.
That's not the case.
I'm surprised, I mean, if somebody could say, I'm gonna do a major renovation, it could be $900,000, it could be $1.5 million. And the village wouldn't even know it. The guy comes, next day, guy comes in, he tears everything off his building except for the piles.
Well, no, he describes it.
He gets a scope of work.
There's several work, that's one of the reasons they just can't go
like
out.
No, he
that.
submits
It's a scope of work.
Yeah.
But there's a certain price, only ones that have variable price is new construction. Square footage and a price. So but here's where you got a problem.
We'll go back to the old way if you want.
So projects that exceed 50,000 and new construction, the way you have it written, is only required to have a 20-yard dumpster, a minimum of a 20-yard dumpster. So anybody else that's below $50,000 doesn't have to have a dumpster.
That's the way it's written.
What are you gonna do with decks and stuff like that that's built?
Well, we're just.
You're gonna have some kind of
Like I said,
Well, it's in there already.
we just put 50,000 in as kind of a generic with construction prices the way they are today, but it could be 20,000, 30,000, or 500,000, doesn't matter. We just thought, I thought that when someone did a renovation, they had to put the approximate cost of the renovation on there.
CAD would like to have that on our report, they've asked me before, but it's not a requirement, I don't have to. So most people don't want CAD knowing their business anyway.
It's not a government business.
Okay.
Well, you need some kind of trash receptacle on all jobs to keep the jobs clean.
Yeah, well, I saw that as being two different things. The trash receptacle was like for the beer cans and stuff, when the guys get done in the afternoon.
Construction debris would be the easiest way to do it, and beer cans.
Whatever. But then dumpsters, like building materials, like old deck material and stuff, I was thinking that the first part of it was just a trash can, so the guys can throw their lunches in there or whatever. And then the second part, which is why we made it a B, was about dumpsters. And so the question is, if you want to just go back and put the verbiage in about tearing out drywall and plumbing and electrical and all, whatever those words were in there, they can be put back. There's just a cut.
Could you put wording something to the effect of, you either have to have a dumpster or it has to be hauled away daily? Could you do something like that?
How did
Try
that-
to frame this?
That's kind of what I've enforced now.
Yeah, dumpster all the way there. Can you do that?
You just want to say it,
Yeah.
so that it's easy to enforce, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what, that's the barrel.
Right.
If you said that, you either have a dumpster or you haul the trash away daily, because what I wouldn't want to have next door to me is somebody's building a new deck and all the old decking is just laying in the driveway for me.
Yeah, you have to have a construction trailer, you got to have a construction trailer at your site, it's taken care of. You just throw it on the floor.
I'll make another comment that the trailer hauling has really worked well, because when we get an order to evacuate,
Yeah.
got all these dumpsters on, the companies get overwhelmed and they're not
Yeah.
gonna pick them up.
Yeah.
You know, if they haul it off regularly in a trailer, that site will be much cleaner, and it keeps the traffic off the street.
So if you left it just like it was, it's fine. Is that what you're saying?
I feel it's working, you know.
Okay.
We're gonna let them say the words, I guess. Take this.
I wouldn't mind making comments so that y'all would understand it from my point of view, that has to be on the enforcement side.
Okay. So, tell them what y'all would like to
It
do.
was, and then, let's see, there's the permitting and things which really didn't change. It's still,
I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt you. What are we leaving the same, because I'm lost? Going back to
the
the
part about the dumpster.
So where it says dumpster required, builder, all that, that's going back to just builder shall provide a dumpster for.
No, it's going back to the previous version of the ordinance.
And we don't
Which
have,
had 4 things.
so we don't have, okay.
Is that, the previous version was not in front of us, is it?
Right.
That's why I was confused.
It's on the website.
Okay.
Soon to be improved website.
Okay.
And then, so anyway, all I did there was like, it's just I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, maybe it's my personal preference, but there's a lot of these giant paragraphs that have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You gotta do all these things. And I am a person, I just like to pull those out in individual bullet statements, so that I'm reading the ordinance as A, B, C, D instead of having, and that's all we really did as far as the section on the permitting. It just says you gotta notify the police and do this and that, so. A lot of this is kind of brief format.
You have it in the police department section, right? You moved it over to the police side.
Not permitting.
I think you did.
No, permitting is still,
Permit, but you
It's
have,
an
you have a
administrative.
rule in there where you have to contact the police.
yes. Well, there is a reference to
Yeah,
that.
you put all that in there, it was in there, so
Yeah.
we contacted.
But that's not really, see, that's not really the
That's
law
train movements or
enforcement.
stuff like that, you know. You have it in there.
I have a question about H, Allen, which is the temporary sanitary facilities. What's the hurdle for that? What's the hurdle for having to have a porta can on a job site? As in, it's here.
What's the trigger?
That's mostly for new construction where you don't have bathroom facilities.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times the remodel, they're allowed to use the restroom.
Right.
There again, that's a judgment call, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that specified.
That
for
could
new
be
construction.
added to the dumpster section.
Well, I mean, it's in here, it's, H.
It says or porta can or other approved facilities, so like a homeowner's restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And you've got 2 in here that involve zoning, so we're not gonna worry about that.
Right, yeah. And so,
Let's just work on this one and bring it back. Call it a day.
Okay.
I have a question on
I have comments too on the others, and I don't want to take up all my phone.
On D, and this is probably a question for John. So an oversized load has to get a permit from the state. Can we require them to get another permit from us?
We already require that you get a permit.
Yeah. We just got 4, I'm not sure, I'm concerned.
Because I thought some of what Steve learned when he was talking to the state on this Bridgeland thing is, we can do whatever we want, but it can't supersede the state.
It can, but again, I think the transportation code provision is only going to deal with those roads that are under the jurisdiction of the state highway department, which do not include yours. And I understood Alan to say, well, we're just going to borrow those rules and not have to repeat them. Is that?
reference back.
Yeah,
especially
we can do that. We can do that as long as if we say those are our rules for our streets.
Our ordinance allows overload schedule all in approval.
I'm not opposed to it, I just was asking the question, can we require a permit when the contractor's already got a state permit?
Well, again, I don't think you'll have a state permit for our road.
Well, there is a reference in the state law about a municipality cannot override the state. So if I had a real heavy load that I wanted to bring into Tiki, I would just go get a state permit and just come driving right down the middle.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that's like the freeway runs through Houston. Houston can't change, and the freeways are state highways. Houston can't change the weight load on those state highways. The state laws control, but I don't know that the state regulates the weight on purely city streets inside the city. I don't think they did, but I'm trying to recall, again, I had a lawsuit in LaPorte, a fight between who controlled the weight loads in LaPorte, the county or the city. It wasn't the state or the city, it was the county or the city.
Yeah, there is some reference to the fact that if a guy's wanting to bring a huge load from Beaumont to Freeport, and they want to go through Galveston, they've got this massive, oversized, overweight permit issued by the state. City of Galveston can't stop them from going through.
Yeah.
Well, and that was my point, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were discussing the bridge weight limits of lowering it, didn't somebody tell you we could lower it, but it won't do any bit of good because the state's gonna give them a permit for the 68,000. So if we lowered it to 50, they can still cut across.
Yeah. The city may.
So maybe we need to reset.
They even, we have to track of, to move those two machines off the island, they have to have a state permit. So they're
They're gonna be on the freeway at some point, they're gonna be on the state highway, so we know they did.
Okay, so what do you want to get to with this, Steve, so we don't keep doing?
I'm just asking the question, can we, this says that we require a village permit for a overweight load. I'm just asking the question, can we do that if the state's already regulated?
By the way, Allen's Committee's not changing that, that was already in the code, that you had to get a permit.
So Steve, if I'm not, Daryl they already have a bond to protect, for the street damage. The permit is just basically
For Adrian to escort them in and out.
paying in to escort them in and out and moving around, so.
I'm not opposed to it, I just was asking.
Okay, so our permit is for them to escort them in and out.
Okay, makes sense.
Now, if a highway patrolman drives in and sees them moving their backhoe, and it weighs 95,000 pounds, I don't know, they
That
pull
will
out,
be business between them and the state.
pull out their Tiki permit, and the highway patrolman's gonna laugh at it, probably go, I'm sorry.
The permit is only for transportation for delivery to the job site and to protect them and do the road work for it, it's all. The bond is to do if they damage the road. Our permit is only for them to escort, it's an escort permit is what it is. To escort them to the job site and escort them back off, so we don't have traffic problems here on Tiki. If the state comes in, that'd be their business.
Okay, so we'll do this one, and take another one next month.
Okay.
I was gonna make a comment on drainage to,
The drainage easement?
yeah, the comment was that, the drawing that you did, it was great, but it's so prescriptive. And Tiki has 900 different lots, but not 2 of them on here, I think, are shaped the same. And so the thought we talked about was maintaining 50% drainage so that the drainage could be next to the house, it could be in the middle of the easement, or it could be to the right of the easement. The way it's kind of been done in the past, it's always assumed to be down the
Let me
property.
say something about drainage. Every survey on this island, for every lot, has a 5-foot drainage easement. It is identified on the survey. We can't mess with it, it's on the survey. For us to go over there and say we're gonna move it, and the problem is, you're talking about 50%, there are a lot of bill lines that are only 7 feet. So if you use 50%, then you only have a 3.5-foot drainage easement. And some of them are 8 feet, so you only have a 4-foot drainage easement. But every single survey on this island has a 5-foot drainage easement dedicated on that survey. And we gotta maintain it. And we allow them, as long as you keep it open 5 feet the way it is now, as on the survey, water can come through the front of the house 5 feet and drain out into the canal. We're allowing stuff for 15 square feet to be put in the front of that part, but as long as you keep that 5 foot alone, we need to leave that alone. It's violating all surveys on this island. We start moving that 5 foot all over the place, and who's gonna keep track of whose 5 foot is where,
Okay.
It's always at the
Like
same
if the
point.
guy, I thought the big deal at the meeting in April or whatever was the guy needed to put a propane tank in.
You want to put a propane tank on the drainage easement toward the front of the house, toward the street.
And it was approved, this ordinance was changed, I
Yeah, it
think,
was toward the street.
in April,
Not
right?
in the drainage.
It was for them to do it in front of the house in the drainage easement, but the side of the house drainage easement is to be kept open from the house line to the back.
5 feet in front.
What does it hurt to change it from 50% though?
Because you got 7 foot, you got 7 foot bill line, so then you only have 3.5 feet if you go 50%. From I'm saying? You don't have 5 feet anymore, you lost it. You gotta keep the 5 foot on the survey.
Some houses have 7 foot, some have 10.
Right.
So they still maintain 5 foot.
Yeah, but still, it's not, it doesn't matter if it's 3 foot or 7 foot though.
Because you're saying you can only use 50%.
Well, I mean, I started driving Island Ray, that's why I come up with it. I started at Commander and got all the way to stop sign and looking at this, and out of 180 houses, more than 75% of them had drainage violations. There's flower beds, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, but if you look at you gotta look at the rain that we had in Harvey. We don't flood out here, so there's no issue with water getting to the canals. No water's running through people's garages or anything, so it's just, there's so much violation.
I know that there's no reason to change today what's working and what's on the survey. I mean, why change anything?
So you're gonna have to change all the surveys?
Yes, because the surveys say.
So when you get a new survey from now on a lot, if you don't keep that 5 foot in there and it's 7 foot, then you're gonna have to make a survey or put 3.5 foot there.
You can't change that, it's recorded against that property.
Yeah, I see no reason to change the drainage easement at all. We made a modification to it, we allowed to put some stuff in the front of the drainage easement. And I know there's a lot of people near Island that have plants and all that stuff in there, and I don't even want to get into that because it's a big mess. But the rule is that you gotta keep 5 feet. We'll be violating our own surveys if we start changing that. And I don't think that's the right thing to do.
What does that 5 feet
That is on.
entail? Can you put a cargo lift in that 5 feet?
No,
Why not?
because it's in the drainage easement.
What is it blocking though?
Charlie Gardner built a house over here. He put posts in the drainage easement for the support of the stairs. They made him move it because it was in the drainage easement. Just don't put stuff in the drainage easement intentionally. I would not support this ordinance change, like what y'all had. Just leave it the way it is and think it works just fine. There's not any issue, nobody's complaining. We're not having an ordinance problem with anyone. If someone has a problem, we'll address it. But the way the ordinance was modified, I think it works just fine.
Yeah.
Why are we trying to mess with something that works? Leave it alone.
And then it's recorded on every property.
It's already.
Even yours.
Just leave it alone.
Well, it's just like the fence
Just
ordinance.
don't mess with it.
We did the fence ordinance, we denied all these people that had variances for fences, now we change it where you can put fences in utilities.
Only if it meets certain rules. Only if it meets certain requirements.
All the utilities have to be outside the fence.
You can do what you want, but I'll tell you right, from right now, I'm telling you, I would not support changing the drainage. We've got too many things already documented on what the drainage.
Well, y'all just approved to be able to use the front of the drainage easement now, and that accommodated everybody that had their problem. Messing with the side drainage easement is just, I mean, you had to adhere to it when you built your house.
You got what it is?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I mean, everybody had to adhere to it, so why are we changing it now?
I wish I had stuff in that, you would have
What's
plans there, I mean, but
That's all.
There's
Okay.
nothing broken, everything's working just
I think the reason was
If somebody has
changing-
got a problem with something, with an ordinance, let's discuss the problem that you specifically have. If there's nothing broken, why are we trying to fix something that's not broken?
But you were the one that said we need to change instead of modifying and granting variance, we need to change the ordinance, so.
If it needs changing, we ought to look at it, but this one doesn't need changing.
Well, how many people come in here wanting to do something in their drainage?
Nobody. Nobody. We made a guy just build a pool because it was in the drainage easement. Tore the pool out and had to redo it again.
The comment
$60,000
I'll
for
make
the
is-
drain.
The intent of the drainage easement is it gives the city a stick in the fight. If all these houses start blocking the drainage easement, we create street backup.
That's right. And drive
It gives
the
us
water
something
to
to
your
say,
neighbor's
hey,
property.
you gotta open up this drainage. That's
Yeah.
the intent.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that. Let's not.
Yeah, but that's really the intent.
Let's move on.
I just have a quick question. If you combine, like, I think somebody's combining lots tonight. So when you do that, do they go replat the thing where there's no?
They have to replat it, that drainage easement, that property line is removed.
The drainage easement.
Everything's removed.
Still has to show the 5 foot on each side of the new lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
We're all here.
Special items.
All right. Special notice regarding item D and E. Number one, Village of Tiki Island, Texas, the village desires to issue obligations from time to time for various public purposes authorized by Texas stats in order to finance or refinance various public projects. Number two, Bricewell LLP, Bricewell or the firm, is a full-service firm that includes national public finance practices and necessary compliance qualifications experience to serve bond counsel for the village. Number three, the village and Bricewell do not have any prior engagements or relationships or other information regarding the nature of any relationship between political subdivision and the firm described in 2254.1036C of the Texas Code. The village attorney is a supporting personnel do not have required experience, qualifications, or resources to adequately perform bond counsel services for the issuance of obligations. Number five, the nature of the bond counsel services and source of payment therefore being from the proceeds of obligations signed by the village, such legal services cannot reasonably be obtained from attorneys in private practice under contract providing for payment of hourly fees without contingency. And number six, entering into contingent fee contract with Bricewell for the bond counsel services is in the best interest of the residents of the village as the village is compliant, qualified, experienced counsel to advise for issuance of bonds and other obligations, and provision of such legal services will not financially impact the village, as compensation for each services will be paid for from proceeds of such bonds and other obligations. Okay, now we go to D. Consider the adoption of resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Tiki Island, Texas, approving an engagement agreement relating to bond counsel services.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to bond counsel services.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. E, discuss and take possible action to approve resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Tiki Island, Texas, approving the engagement agreement relating to bond counsel services from Bricewell LLC to support the issuance of certificate of obligation by the Village of Tiki Island Board of Aldermen for canal dredging project. Possible discussion or possible action?
Make a motion to discuss.
Motion for discussion.
Question comes up, who do we discuss with those? Talk to John, Bracewell is the expert in this law. It's extremely important that this thing is done right, done first class, and not try to cut corners. There's probably other attorneys around that would do it for less money, but in all honesty, we can't take a chance. John, you can speak up on this, because we discussed it. You think that this company is for superior companies, make sure that what we get is going to be fine, we won't get in trouble.
Yeah, before that, I'll explain while the mayor read all that stuff. There's a state statute that says when you're hiring a lawyer under a contingent fee agreement, this is a contingent fee agreement because if the bond's never issued, you never have to pay the lawyers, that you have to put all this, you have to go through this process and put all this extra information in here. Again, there are a number of law firms that do bond counsel services. We're not one of them, so it's not something we can do for you. I'm familiar with Bracewell. I'm familiar with the lawyers that would be doing this, and I think they'd be good. And you're well into the process. And there's also no legally required process to go through. It's not a competitive bidding thing. So you have a discretion to do this if you choose to do it. There's something else I was supposed to cover, right?
I'm not spending a lot of time going out and calling attorneys all over Houston to see if I can save a couple bucks. I recommend we go with this company. John recommends them. He knows knows that, and know that they do this stuff for a living, they know what to do. It's very important that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed when we go try to get these bonds. So I'm making a motion that we go ahead and hire Bracewell LLC to be our bond counsel support
On the drainage project, that's what this current is.
On the draining project.
for the drainage project.
And then we have a separate, and just, the Open Meeting Act prevented me from asking the questions before tonight that I would like to ask. We have a separate topic coming up for U.S. Capital Advisors, which has a cost explanation. I didn't see a cost explanation for Bracewell. Same? Yes, go.
Go ahead.
Mayor and members of council, my name is Jonathan Frells. I'm a partner at Bracewell. And we included in the packet, there is an proposed engagement letter, and we proposed a fee, flat fee of $30,000 plus expenses for this particular project. And it would be, as John said, it would be contingent upon completion of the project. And that, so that's what we proposed. We're happy to discuss if you have any questions about the engagement letter or what we do as bond counsel or the process. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Well, I saw the letter and I saw the fee, so my question, I guess, this is my first rodeo. So when you have other expenses and other reimbursements, is there typically a number that is out there for a project like this?
Yeah, typically, I mean, it depends. If you pay directly for public, so if you're doing certificates of obligation, we're going to have 2 publications that we have to do in the Galveston Daily News. So if we paid for those, we would get reimbursed for them. If you pay for them, you'll pay for them directly. There is a cost for the Office of the Attorney General to review the transcript and issue their opinion. If we fronted that, we get reimbursed for that cost. Typically, the remaining costs on the project are less than $2,500. So, I mean, the primary drivers of those costs that we would ultimately be reimbursed for are either publication costs or Attorney General review fees that if we fronted them for you, we'd get those back.
Okay, thank you for that.
In general, fee is around to about $5,000.
Yeah, so the Attorney General fee is a minimum of $750, a maximum of $9,500, and then it's just based on a percentage of the par amount of the debt that you're issuing there. So in this case, I think what we were talking about, in this particular case, it would be around the $5,000.
We haven't got the bids yet, so we have to come guessing on what the price will be.
Okay, so we have a motion from Ray.
Approve, Bracewell LLC to be our bond counsel support for the drainage project.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. F, discuss the possible action to approve contract between Village of Tiki Island, Texas and USCA Municipal Advisors LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of U.S. Capital Advisors LLC for municipal finance advisory service to be performed in the issuance of a certificate of obligation by the Village of Tiki Island Board of Aldermen for canal dredging. I need a motion to discuss.
I need a motion to discuss.
Go ahead.
We had 3 bids. Okay, and what I selected was the one that had the lowest fee, qualified company that has the lowest fee. Okay? The agenda went out. The bids were submitted. I got a call today, an email today from one of the bidders that said, hey, I saw how much your capital is charging. I can beat that price. Well, wait a minute, you just told me what your bid was. Now that you know what the level one was, you're gonna make it cheaper. I said, ethically, that's not right. I mean, when the bids are submitted, the bids are submitted. You can't go back, so I'm gonna cut my bid, he said, about 50%. That's great.
It was a $30,000 to $40,000 range that they were going to
Where
cut.
were you going, when you gonna, where were you before? He was 86,000 and the one I checked was 60,000. He was the least expensive one. He comes in, I'm gonna beat, I talked to my boss today and we're gonna beat the 60,000. So I said, well.
They were at 80-something in their original bid, 86,000. The other one was 60.
You know, but ethically, you made your bid. You may come in cheaper, you may say it was $50, but I'm sorry, the bid is a bid. It's just like the dredging project. We get the bids in and somebody says, oh, he bids X amount, I'll beat him by 50,000. You just need to get, that's too late, the bids are in. So I honestly cannot accept that. I'll have to go, it's gonna cost us a little more now, this is what it said, but I have to go with interest rate back. I'll make a motion, we do select, USCA municipal advisors, and they're part of the US capital advisors are part of them, as our bond council, as our bond advisor.
Financial advisor.
So,
Financial advisory services.
yeah, it's up to whatever y'all think.
Any other discussion on it?
Well, now that you have bond counsel, you could certainly ask Mr. Frells whether he's worked with them or not.
Yes, absolutely. We've worked with all the major financial advisory firms. U.S. Capital Advisors represents a number of municipalities in Southeast Texas, and we've worked with them extensively. They're very knowledgeable about the types of projects and the types of debt you're talking about issuing.
This other company was government capital services. So, you know,
All right, so we
I'll
have,
second his motion.
okay, we have a motion and a second to accept USCA Municipal Advisory LLC for the dredging project. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. G, discussion and take possible action to approve replat request on lots 3940, section 11, owners Todd and Michelle Riddle. Darrell?
All in order.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve?
no.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't think we've ever.
Replat.
Well, I had a question on the drainage, we were talking about the drainage on this.
Okay.
So does that 5 foot go away on this?
Yes, when they take two lots and merge together, it goes to the outsides now, just like it would be one lot.
Just got a bigger lot.
So they're taking two lots, making one lot. So they take the inside, the center drainage easement on both sides, plus the property line, and it's now moved to the outside. And they still carry a 5 foot drainage easement on each of the perimeters.
It's almost,
So they could do anything, because this is not 2 lots.
no, it's two lots to come in one.
It's
No,
two.
it's houses, there's 2 houses.
So there's a house and one lot.
There's 2 houses, they bought the house next door.
The two houses, I
Uh,
thought it was a house and one lot.
So they can do anything, no, I think it's 2 houses.
So once they replat it, it becomes one. Yeah, it becomes one property.
So there's a lot
So
of.
they can, do they go to
Right
the
here.
outside?
yes.
So all it's showing is it's replatting the lots together. So they can do anything they want with that 5 foot in the middle. It's no longer.
I don't want to see it hot in the house.
That's-
It goes back to lots 39A is what they're calling it now.
So what is, so
There's still no drainage easement in the middle because he's now making, that address now, okay, I'll just say 1330 Maui and 1334 Maui is now gonna be 1330A Maui. And both residents are gonna be 1330A Maui. The drainage easement goes away.
houses are no houses, it goes to the side.
It goes to the side, and there's no middle property.
Here's really how to do this water out your
I said, we're not adhering to that. It's all important, but it's separate. We don't, I mean, we don't adhere to, see, that's part of the problem.
That's right.
No, we haven't. I had to move a propane tank a foot because of this. And that's my whole point. I mean, when we do these ordinances, we gotta stick to the way it's written. I mean, we can't.
But for a replat, it has nothing to do, when a replat does, it takes the center and the property line out of the center. You have no center property line,
I
no.
understand that, Golden, but I had to move a propane tank that was between 2 houses.
Were they replatted and put together as one
Both
property?
houses are just like we just did, both of them are one piece of property. I had to move that propane tank over.
Was it in the front of the house before this article was rewritten for the front?
It was in front of the house.
Okay, and then y'all approved in April to get rid of that, so you don't have to do that no more. Y'all fixed that ordinance in April
Let's not
about
talk
that front.
We're not talking about drainage easements anymore. That subject is going to the next subject. Please.
Okay. Anyway, Okay, so we got discussion regarding the coronavirus relief funds, for the fire hydrant quick for that. Okay, go ahead, 'cause I want to get open for discussion. For the expenditure for fire hydrant disconnects, can I get a motion for discussion?
Motion to discuss.
Go ahead.
So Ray, tell me again, how much money have we, are going to give the water
We're
board?
them 131,000.
But we're going to get another 130,000. Okay. So roughly 260,000 we're giving over to the water department to use on infrastructure. The fire department would like to use approximately $13,000 of that 260,000 to put these quick connects on all the fire hydrants on the island. And I think really all I'm asking for tonight is just a agreement from this council so that we can tell the water board when you're working on your infrastructure
Well,
projects
this is
to
for
include
discussion.
fire hydrants.
Just for discussion only.
Well, what we ought to do is figure this up. We gave them 131, so that's done. Give them another 131. But you 131, when you have this designate 14,000 that we got to be used for this.
It's fine.
And then we'll send it over to them and say, we're gonna spend 14,000 to do the fire hydrant with QDs, and this, you get the rest. So we'll work it out.
Well, that reminds me to ask, can we spend any of this COVID infrastructure money on digital infrastructure, like fancy new websites?
It has to be infrastructure
Has to be
only.
water,
It has to be on the ground.
Water, sewer.
So I'll just say we can tell them.
I agree. Putting information out to the public.
We're gonna be about 14,000 of it.
Yeah,
Because we're gonna.
that's fine,
spend-
yeah.
We'll do it, you're saying?
We can do it, or we can send it to them next.
You agree with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm good.
When's the expectation of that next round
I'm
of
supposed
money?
to get it in August.
Sometime in August.
That's the pairs in your bank account too, right?
Yes.
Well, wouldn't fire hydrants be infrastructure?
No, I was just shaking my head at how the whole program has worked.
Oh, I got you.
So
They give it to us,
Here's
and we
in your
have
bank
it.
account, and gosh, we hope you spend it on what you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so for the discussion only on this, we're what, the council has approved for the fire hydrant quick connection, and they'll talk to the water department about it. Okay, let's,
Okay, we got this thing on the agenda tomorrow to be approved. Well, they may approve it.
And if they do, great, if not.
If they do, then we don't need to worry about it. If they don't, we'll just cover it all up.
all right, let's go to I, discuss and take possible action on a request to place a pizza, how you say that, Forno kiosk on Village of Tiki Island property. Photo of kiosk and information enclosed. Can you get a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Okay.
I want to hear about this.
Okay, so we have a for-profit company wanting to put a pizza kiosk on our property, and I'm assuming it's over here where we have hookups and electrical. My personal opinion is they ought to go to a for-profit entity, which would be the plaza where they have the ice machine
Yeah.
and the water where they sell water and ice, and let them make a deal with them and rent from them.
Totally, I think, I talked to the guy yesterday who lives here on, maybe his son or somebody's doing it, but if I understood him right, they are putting it up there. They've already got CenterPoint working on getting the power and stuff on
I talked to him and he is working on it, and he wanted to keep it on the agenda as a backup
I'll
plan.
make sure we.
Oh, we want to keep it on the agenda. Okay, but anyway, for discussion and take possible action on it.
Motion.
We can't, we'll just, okay,
Can
can
I ask you a question or two? So is this in the residential, what's the zoning district this is?
He's up there in the commercial area up there.
Okay.
So that area up there.
up there is commercial, this is all residential.
Okay, so he's supposed to put it in a commercial area?
Yes.
So why does he need special permission on the agenda? Why does it-
He's looking for,
He
I
hadn't
haven't
put that deal together yet.
He was gonna have a different location.
Backup location.
Got one.
Okay.
Okay,
I second his table.
okay, so we have a motion to table by Hunter and a second by Gary to table this item. J, discuss and take possible action to approve ordinance 7.
That's already been approved. That was approved back in June 30th.
Which one? J?
Jerry.
No, this is just to change,
We did that.
One thing,
It's in the minutes.
changing
from the board of aldermen to building inspector.
Yeah. We approved that, changing the name so that Darrell can approve,
That's right, from the Board of Aldermen having to approve it to give the building inspector, okay, so we don't need that discussion or take action, whatever. Okay, thank you. Citizen comments, please state your name, comments limited to 2 minutes.
Can we go back to that other item? I mean, we sure about that? I mean, I was asked to draft this
Let me
ordinance.
get you the now. Go to the June 30th minute.
This proposed ordinance is in the packet. I drafted it. I was instructed to draft it.
Yeah, we already approved it.
Brady's looking at that on the minutes.
All right, here, don't say. Go back to
Discuss and
the.
take possible action to approve amending chapter 6,
Go to June 30th meeting, item D.
item D.
Discuss and take possible action to approve amendment 6.
But you did not have an ordinance on, you did not have an ordinance in front of you at that time.
We did.
We did, I'm pretty sure we
You had
did.
this ordinance in front of you at the time?
Okay, I know we said, can you make it to the meeting? He said, yeah, I'll get it done in just a couple of
Oh,
minutes.
okay, all right.
Board of Alderman for building officials.
Sorry, my computer.
Motion was approved.
That's okay, everybody gets
I'll blame
confused.
it on my cases for coronavirus.
Okay, citizen comments, please.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Andrea Gerber. I live at 1239 Oahu, and I've been there for about 6.5 years. I meant to appear at the special meeting last month, but I crossed my wires on the time. I think most of you received an email I put together and sent to Brandy and to Goldie and to Daryl, because I have a persistent problem with my neighbors at 1219 Oahu. The straw that broke this camel's back, oh, it's not playing right, was fireworks. They fired on June 24th. They did one set, which what got my attention, and then they did another set, which I videoed, and it was sent to all of you. Apologize, I couldn't make the special meeting. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That was the straw that broke this camel's back. Prior to that, during Hurricane Nicholas last year, they let debris sit in their yard for 6 weeks. I notified them, and Daryl red tagged them. When they did finally move the debris, it was out to the street. I told the kid that was moving it, this trash company's not gonna pick it up. He said, we have someone coming today. That sat there for 6 more weeks. Daryl red tagged them, and it created a place for rats and other vermin to nest in that time. But going back beyond that, last August, the owner's brother had a group there. They willingly and knowingly violate the laws. They actually right now have a VRBO listing offering to rent 1219 for a minimum of 14 days. That has been there daily for at least the last month, if not longer. Last August, when the brother had use of the property, the police were called on Friday night for strict noise ordinance violations, and again on Saturday night. Their VRBO listing even has a $1,000 fine if the police are called. So they know what the rules are, but they don't follow them. They don't follow them with trash, they don't follow them with noise. In fact, the fireworks that they launched at my house, they knew exactly where those embers were gonna go because they launched the first set. They kicked both of the spent canisters into the bay, which violates state law. So my ask is, first and foremost, I noticed at the last meeting, there was a discussion to enforce the ordinances. I need the ordinances enforced. Telling them don't do that is not working. It's not stopping them. And what I've communicated for just the past year is the tip of the iceberg that I've been living with for 5.5 years. It's uncomfortable, it's awkward. Randy had initiated action against them for rental violations last fall. I didn't want to set myself up to be a target, but after they physically targeted me with these fireworks, I'm all in to do whatever needs to be done to bring these people to some level of compliance. We all moved here knowing what the rules are. They are not following them. They know they're not following them, and it makes my residency uncomfortable. I have to retreat to my bedroom when they're there because they get so loud. Taking to put in earplugs rather than calling the police. As long as I can't hear them through the earplugs, I'll live. But most of the time, I'm awakened at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning through the earplugs, at which time I do call the police. So the discussion about enforcement of ordinances is particularly important to me, but I think it's important to everybody who lives here and has to deal with any one of these things. But having to deal with all of these things on a regular basis, enough is enough. Tiki is better than this, and I hope I can have the support of everybody who can do something to bring this group into compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask her a question?
You can,
Please.
that's what it's for.
What rental violation?
They are not, they bought this house in 2017, so they are under the minimum 30-day rental requirement. Offering it for 14 days, in my opinion, is a solicitation that violates the ordinance. Every day that listing is out there, it's a violation. And I was telling them, don't play music, don't be loud after 10 o'clock. The action was initiated against them last fall. I wouldn't testify because I didn't want to exacerbate the situation, but it exacerbated itself. So when you're offering a place for 14 days when the minimum by the ordinance is 30, to me, that's a violation.
So I'm new, I'm finding my way, so if it's supposed to be 30 days or longer, so if they do rent it for less time.
If they rent it for less than it's a violation, then we take them to court.
We have an order, yeah, prosecution in municipal court.
If they do it less than 30.
But then you need a witness.
Understand.
Sounds like that was the issue with this.
Understand.
So you need a witness now, but I don't know if we can can we make them take down 14 and put 30?
No, we don't have a law that prohibits someone from advertising that they're gonna rent it for less than 30 days. It's just, they're prohibited from actually doing it.
So we have.
I'm going to disagree with you respectfully. I'm also an attorney, but the way the ordinance is phrased, it says solicit. And I think that the VRBO listing is a solicitation.
Okay, well.
That's just me.
That's what it said.
You're the one.
So I didn't write the ordinance and haven't looked at it in some
Well,
sort of lawsuit.
I've read them because they affect me regularly, unfortunately.
It's nothing that prevents us from sending them a letter, right? A certified letter saying, we have seen this and we will remind you that you cannot.
Oh, sure, that's all, that's ordinarily the first enforcement is education.
Yes.
Persuasion.
Yes.
Prosecution. But obviously, it sounds like they've had the education and persuasion efforts have been made in the past.
If you go to VRBO and Google Tiki Island, it's a rotunda house, a three-story rotunda house. The listing is there. If you scroll down to the details, today, because I did it before I came here, I could bring it up right now. It says minimum of 14 days, and if the police are called and a citation is issued, you as the renter will have a $1,000 fine. They know they do this in violation.
Yeah.
They don't care because all that's ever happened to them is they've been told, don't do that. Don't do that isn't working. They're kicking trash into the bay. They're shooting off fireworks in violation of the village ordinances. They're offering their home. They're leaving trash. They're allowing vermin. It's a disaster. And I think Tiki's better than that.
Is this the big house?
Yes.
Adrian?
Problem is, her house is so close to the houses she's talking about. When these people are out in the back fishing or whatnot, when they talk, the voice varies. She can hear every word they're saying inside her house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's loud when they're talking, and sometimes she seems like they're doing it on purpose.
If I may explain, he's absolutely correct.
They're sitting.
They have this humongous deck and this humongous house, but where they choose to sit is right at the property line, drinking and becoming loud and boisterous well past 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's a number they could go to the other side where they have their beautiful pool. There's a lot of places they could go. They do it, in my opinion, intentionally. They did it intentionally with the fireworks. They sit out there and make noise on purpose. The police go, tell them to be quiet. They quiet down, give the police enough time to get away, and then it all starts right back up.
Are we able to go, and I'm just curious again, other questions, I guess. Are we able to go in and ask for a rental agreement if there was a violation, like to find out if they rent it for less than 30 days?
Do we have a way to compel them to do that? No.
Okay.
We can ask for anything. No, we don't. But the way that's been enforced in the past is just what she described. They advertise online. So you go online and they're advertising, but you still need a neighbor or someone.
We need some evidence.
You got to do like I did on the last one, drive up to the house and knock on the door. Hey, are you renting this place? Yeah, here it is. Here's the VBR number. She gave it to me. So yeah, that's kind of evidence you need, but we shouldn't have to do that. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many times of complaints do we have to get before, can't we, like Hunter said, why can't we send a letter? Oh, we can.
We send-
And as soon as,
It probably won't do any good.
she's been.
She needs more
The
teeth.
lady that owns the house, yes, but there was a technicality, and so that, could not be prosecuted. And she was told that we will bring it up again if we have evidence.
Which one is that?
That,
1219 Oahu.
The big house on, yeah.
So
They've been warned.
They've been warned.
This is nothing that's new. It's been warned. It's been going on. The police has been there. The letters have been sent.
Gotta be something you can do about that, though.
We're gonna have to look into it because you just can't go over and tell people their rights.
Well, I mean, what we do now, we have a lady as well as testify get involved, which we didn't before, so that'll make it better.
I will testify, I will also say that I was very torn about raising the rental, because when renters are there, first and foremost, they've been told to claim they are relatives who are just using the house. They don't say that they're renting, so they've covered themselves there. But the truth of the matter is, when it's renters, they're better behaved than when the owner's there. So it's a double-edged sword for
yes,
me.
you told me that before.
And I'm belly full. The fireworks, I hope you all went and saw the video. If not, I've got it.
Yeah.
It's scary. I mean, and the stupidest part is they co-own the boathouse with me. And they scorched the roof of our co-owned boathouse with the embers from the fireworks. I don't know how many more would have gone off. The police had already been called. I called the police. A lot of people called the police, I think, that night. What I was gonna suggest is that we consider creating a category of chronic violators. I don't wanna put an extra burden on Adrian, but I know he gets more calls for that house than probably any 2 other houses on the island. And something needs to be done besides telling them
But
don't.
they warned them about it, they quit.
So John, she just asked, is there a way to create an ordinance that we could classify it as a nuisance or something else because of so many times the police have been called to that location? To somehow escalate this?
I mean, and do what? So,
Find
The law's still the law.
so and keep in mind, our maximum fine for not environmental things or whatever is $200.
500, yeah. Just got 500.
I think it's 200 for this. I can double check. Anybody?
That night fireworks went off, I called the police, and then she called the police, and the police went over and responded, and they quit blowing up fireworks. But until the police showed up, they were blowing up fireworks. Let's just put it like
How
that.
about this? They've gone there often enough, they stopped the fireworks. How about we ask Adrian, every time he goes to that house, if there's a violation, write him a ticket. Don't ask him to stop it, write him a ticket. And keep writing tickets. No more, stop it and I'll leave you alone. They get a ticket.
That was my suggestion with creating a category of chronic violators. But yes, I need them ticketed for every violation. I can't keep living next door to vermin, to trash, to fireworks pointed at me. They knew I was outside. They knew.
Okay, so here's what we need to do. Adrian, you've already warned them, and they've had warnings on all these violations. So when they go, if it warrants a ticket, and it's something that ticket can be written, council can direct you to write them a ticket.
Okay, we'll go. Couple things here. First of all, we didn't have an action item on the agenda, so there's no directing at this
But
meeting.
we can bring it to the next one, but this
Well,
is.
but also, I mean, you can certainly communicate to Adrian that you think that's the right thing to do, but police officers have the discretion in any given case whether to write anything or not. And I think Adrian's heard what she had to say as well. So you got municipal court to prosecute actual violations. And then I think it's good advice about if someone's not responding to warnings or they just do it again, that you write citations, but that's the individual police officers.
Sure.
It's under our system.
Okay.
Not council's, not mine.
All right.
What I recounted was just things that have happened in the last year. They were so horrible, I took to driving past my house so I could see how many cars might be in their driveway. So emotionally and mentally, I could prepare myself for what kind of night it was gonna be. The use, when they were there, I had no use of my living area whatsoever. I had to go to my bedroom, which is as far as possible away I can get from them. And stay there until 10 o'clock when I could at that time call the police to enforce the noise ordinance. It's, I've lived this way for 5.5 years, but the fireworks pushed me over the edge.
Can you get a friend to go rent the thing for 14 days and then provide their receipt?
Yeah.
Obviously a possibility, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you for your comments. And
I appreciate everybody's time and questions very
Yes, ma'am,
much.
we'll look into it for you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, council, budget workshop. Number one, discussion on M&O only, maintenance and operation only. You have it in your books here?
We did.
All right, Ray, why don't you take lead on this since you're Randy and everybody's working on it.
Brandy and I and those up there, we took a stab at the expenses, Brandy and I tried. But you see on the first page, starting with the franchise tax, all the way down, that's our estimated amount of revenue that we're projecting we're gonna get in each category. And you have to ask the question, well, how do you know? Well, it's strictly based on previous experience and previous years of what we had. So it was the best shot we had. If you look at I've done a projection on after 9 months, if we will continue on collecting the same kind of money on most each category, and that basically reflects what we got here today. We also, there's not a whole lot of change, as you can see on any item. There's a little bit increase in the modeling because we're running way ahead of that this year. I want you to know that the dredging project reserve is now zero because we spent all that money last year on the first page. And down at the bottom, you'll see major road work reserves, that's the 55,000 from the water authority, that we're rolling into next year.
Okay.
And you'll see that reflected in the.
And that rolls him up to 255 for next year, starting in October.
We're projecting $441,650 of revenue starting from the franchise tax on hand. This excludes the tax money, the M&O tax, that we see is zero, so we don't know what we need to. So that's kind of the first page. You don't ask questions or tell me.
All right, let's go to minutes.
Okay, second page, I have included a 3% pay raise for the employees. And what you see on the payroll tax and the TMRS is just the payroll tax is 8%, TMRS is 3.75%, so that's the number you see there. The only difference on that one is you notice that the insurance has gone up to $18,390. Everything else is about the same. Comes up to $134,325 versus last year $129, it's mostly from the insurance, and 3%. Professional services, left everything about the same. The only thing we did increase is the audit, because this year they charged us $20,000 for the audit. My understanding is they want 3% more next year, so we'll put $20,600.
Ray, there's nothing for attorney litigation. Should you not just have a little something there?
We haven't had any litigation since we've been messing with the.
So it's been raining years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was been years ago. We settled that. That was a 10-year law, 10-year battle, and we haven't had any more.
We don't expect any litigation.
Just a quick question under professional services. If you go to this website, comes out, I don't see the other one listed here. Do they need to be here or are they just a different regular expense?
Which one you talking about?
No, they're not here. We have a video service, so a website service need one too.
Oh, the video's in here.
Video is,
Where's the other website?
It's like general, it's like
You know,
general.
okay, I haven't gone there yet, so I'll just make
Yeah, we'll get down to it. We might need to increase it.
Yeah.
And so, that's changed. The appraisal district is asking for more money. The election was like almost $21,000 last year for our portion of it, and it's kind of unfortunate because they charge the same amount in the city. So if you're in the city of Galveston, you're paying $21,000.
Gee,
You're paying $21,000.
Yes, but every time we have an election, it costs the taxpayers $21,000.
Doesn't matter how big of it, just have it.
All you have to have is one person
Yeah.
They keep it real
that
simple.
wants to run, and then it's $21,000.
They, instead of saying, well, Tiki only has 1,000 citizens, Galveston's got 50,000, now they'll pay more. No, they just do the simple math.
Yeah.
We got X amount of people, X amount of cities, divide by that amount, everybody pays something.
Interesting.
I don't agree with it, but that's what they do.
So we put it in there, so I'm sure there will be people running.
We definitely will have an election next year, on that. Animal control staying the same, ambulance service went up a little.
Do what now?
Animal control, we pay.
If you want it, if you don't want it, you're gonna pay for it. I made a mistake and told them we wasn't taking it one year, we had to pay for that year plus the next year. Because there's nobody comes to Tiki, not for a damn pelican and not
Well,
for
I
a
actually
dog or a cat.
seen that here yesterday.
Well, that's the first time for $9,500.
You can buy a used pickup truck and a lease for
If you notice, if you look at the animal control report, it's always zero.
Yeah, it's always zero.
There was one a few months back that had one in there.
Yeah, but I made that mistake and said we wasn't renewing.
Yeah.
We don't need it. And they come back and said, oh yeah, you're gonna renew plus paying for it.
I actually passed them on my street yesterday.
The county.
Okay? So we got ambulance service, we gotta pay the 30 for.
And then the video is for the, stuff, Steve, for your video that we do.
Right here.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
We can add money for the website stuff.
All right, let's go to the inspection office.
Okay, inspection office, everything is pretty much the same. The only major difference is, we put the 3% for Darrell and 3% for Vicky. And, medicine insurance went up for Darrell and Darrell. Everything else was basically the same.
I have a question that may fall into that, and it pertains to both revenue and cost in the condos and any building permits and outsourcing fees, anything there, nothing forecasted?
No.
Not yet.
No, because we don't know if it's gonna go or not. They have to have a certain amount sold before the bank's even gonna let them go anything, and it's probably gonna be a year so we can forecast next year.
We were gonna put something in there, Brandon, now we're gonna stick the permit fees in there, which is like 70-some thousand.
Yeah.
And we said, well, I guess it'd be great if we did it, but.
They're not that far along.
Let's wait and see what'll happen.
Great.
If we did it, great.
Okay.
Okay, the judge, actually, we had more than money than we needed for the judge, so we got the new judge, rate $2,400. Prosecutors, $2,100. Office supplies, we made it $750, so that's.
Still 52.
Seminar schools we're not doing, so that's $52.50.
It went down $200.
Yeah. Our judge in the past used to be almost like.
Okay, general expenditures, this is where you put your website money.
The major, the only big change there is black on the fourth item down, it's called insurance. We have to 10,000. This is all the property insurance for this building and the bridge, property and liability, storm, fire, all that stuff.
And would you go over all these policies?
I would, and I have on the bridge, and that's, and we need to do some work there.
Okay, so anything you
You
need
do so
to
much work that this number needs to change?
That I don't know, I'm just about coverage specifically, so I don't know if we need to add on it.
But it went up 10, let's just leave it at 10.
But I don't know, yeah.
We added another 10 grand, the bridge is due, I think, in October.
Give us a
Yeah, it'll
deal.
come up to October.
Yeah, give us a
Well,
deal.
I'm gonna, yeah, well, I'll help us find a deal.
Website, right here, we have website maintenance, that's probably where we need to bump that up,
Yes.
2850 is.
plus 1,800.
Okay, where is it at right now?
Where it says
Website
website.
maintenance right here, you had 1,500, y'all ought to take that to,
We got
You got
2,800 plus
21.
1,800.
It was 1,800.
$3,100 for that, add to that. Is that right?
You going to 46?
46,
Okay.
let's go on 46, no covers for
and
that.
I thought he was 1,800 plus, that's okay to cover it.
It's 2,800 to get started.
Yeah, 2,800.
1800.
So we have all of that the first year.
Wasn't it 10,000 the last time he came back with the proposal? I thought initially the proposal
I
was
thought I saw
10.
something
He
that
said
was 10.
28 or 9, but I thought it was 10
Uh-huh.
last time he was here, or talked to us, or Steve brought it up.
Well, it's a different one right
I
now.
remember 25 for 3 years.
Yeah.
I remember 10.
Okay, so whatever it is tonight now, because he's already said it, we got it recorded. Okay, so,
Can I assume the LED sign is dead?
Well, I have a question on that.
okay,
It is dead.
Because there's a zero, that's all.
It cannot be
Okay.
fixed, but instead of leaving it for 10 more years, I think we ought to tear the damn thing down and get it out of there, so we ought to put some money in here to get rid of it.
What are you talking about?
he's talking about the
The
sign.
LED sign that will not work, it cannot be fixed.
Put the bulldozer to it.
Just need,
I would agree, if it's not gonna work, you can't fix it, you're right.
it hadn't worked in 2 years
It's gonna
plus.
rust away, yeah.
Can you drop TVs in it and run it by Wi-Fi?
Well, everybody's complaining about it. The ladies at Tiki Island got together and had luncheons, and they had different things, and they put the majority of the money together to get this. And then after it came in, as always, there's one or two people that's got to raise hell. And then they got on the internet about it, and they didn't like it, and one said it was too bright, two more joined in and said it looked like this shit and that shit. So it broke, nobody ever wanted to mess with it again. I thought it was a great idea, and it was a donation from the people that wanted it. But
It can't be fixed, it can only be replaced because all the electronics has been burned up. So if you were to replace it, you're looking at
$30,000.
Very
That's why
expensive.
TVs in there.
But we
don't have that.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I agree with Steve, I mean, just get rid of it, but I would think, not this year, but what I think goes, I like having a sign there, but
I think it serves a good
I think
purpose
it serves a
if it's
purpose,
managed correctly.
but
But I don't think we ought to get rid of the pedestal, nor the electrical to the pedestal. I think you just ought to remove the sign.
Let's just remove it,
Yeah.
plant a few shrubs around it.
You can
kinda
plant
hide it,
shrubs or something around it.
Someday
Don't
we'll
take the sign down, it's not working, take it down.
So I would suggest, I don't know, put a couple grand in there, something to get rid of it.
Make it look nice, yeah.
I'm just guessing, I don't know.
So from 400, take it to 2,000.
Which one are we talking about?
LED sign maintenance, which is
0 to 2,500.
For the electricity sign, the sign?
LED
The LED sign maintenance.
We're just gonna put money in there to remove it.
Oh, I see.
Parking.
Okay. So what do you want to put in there?
2,500.
Yeah, that's,
2,500?
yeah.
Yeah, and then that'd get whatever you have to do. But
Got it,
I think the sign ought to be replaced first.
2,500.
I think it serves a real, I agree with Steve's comment, it serves a really good purpose. You know, if it was something that everybody wanted to pursue, if you can stay on top of it and manage it.
And again, not to be critical, but I think it's kind of like our website. It sounds like our website is a one-man shop. This sign was purchased from a one-man shop who,
Well, the problem with the sign is it's
all proprietary
software.
stuff. So you can't just go to anybody to fix it. You can only go back to him.
It's,
So
he went ahead with it,
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you that anymore either.
Okay.
2,500.
Okay, so let's go down to the, general expenditures. You're gonna jack that up from 154.7.
So we're gonna change the website to 3,100, correct?
I thought you said 46.
4,600. That's right, 4,600. 4,600, okay?
And then you're taking the sign to 25.
2,500 for that, okay, that's the only two changes on that. Okay?
Okay, let's go to
Next
general.
one, the police, this is the 3% there for the police, you see that there, 247,000. There's an increase in medical insurance for the police, folks. And you notice there that the police car reserve, I bumped that up to 35, we used all the money last year. So 11, we used all the money. This past year, we had $20,000 in there, we put in there for a new car. The car's almost 4 years old, it's already longer than we expected it to be, so I'm putting another 35 there, which gets us 55,000. It may not be enough to get a new car if we need it. Josh says the car is running good right now, we probably can maybe ever get another year out of it, but at least we'll have the money in here if we need it.
So here's what I was thinking, when Ray and everybody talked about that. Y'all need to get together and decide. It's taken a long time. It took us over a year and a half to get this car almost. So we need to order another one. If it comes in sooner, fine. If not, they'll take a trade-in. But I don't think it's gonna come in. And then time you get through here to fleet safety, that was another 4 months for them to outfit the car because they were waiting on stuff for that to come in. So with $65,000, I think we ought to start looking for another car. We won't get it until next year at the minimum. And if we do, we usually trade every 2 years anyway. That one's 4 that we have now.
I make a suggestion. Why don't we look at getting a pickup truck? Might be a hell of a lot easier to get. It
Well,
doesn't have to be.
they prefer this car. I mean, I was just leaving it up to police officers.
Steve, we're the same issue with pickup truck for the fire department. We ordered one and it's taken well over a year to get it.
Yeah, I've got a fleet of service trucks and I can't get them.
And they prefer
But it
this.
doesn't have to be, I guess what I'm getting at is it doesn't have to be, you know, because everybody around here, sheriff department, Galveston, every police department around here has a pickup truck. Whether the chief uses it to patrol during the day, it doesn't, I wouldn't think it would have to be a police package But, I mean, we could add, there's something I asked Adrian in the office about, maybe it might be a possibility. It didn't have to be, a special.
Okay, well, we can talk about that, but I think we need to get together and ask Adrian to have this conversation.
I think it's a good idea, it might.
Well, let's get together and we'll talk about it, but right now, for the benefit of this.
If they go around every 3 hours, they just do that little thing.
Okay. So that's a good suggestion, but let's take this up after this, and then we'll go to them and talk to them about
To
that.
your point there, your suggestion of the ability that we maybe ought to up that number a little bit so we can go ahead.
Well, you got 65,000 in there
I
now.
got 55.
55.
You have 2 years and 35, right? It's 50.
No, we only have 1 year 20, and this will be a 35 on top of that. So we put that right there.
Okay, what happened to our 4 year, every year we put 20 in?
We've used it.
We used
On
to
every one of
have
them.
That's what it was last year.
Okay, so we got 55.
But I think you're right.
Last year.
We need to assume it's gonna take a year or more to get it, and we
Yeah.
probably need to order one fairly
So I don't
soon.
think you're gonna get into one for less than $65,000 with, and then here's the next thing. You buy a truck, which is, I don't have any problem with buying a truck, but everything in the car won't fit the truck. So everything that's going in the truck, and this is what we've had a problem with in the years past, is that from a 2018 to a 2020, maybe 1/3 of the equipment can swap over, and we're having to buy the rest of the equipment. So if you're gonna do a truck, well, put 70,000 in there, or you can have it, and you get one.
I may have misunderstood. I was thinking the truck would just be used for that. They do every 3 hours, they just run up and down the islands and every street. Use the truck. For that.
There still has to have all the
What are
equipment.
you
They're not
gonna
gonna
do?
swap
You don't have to have the
What are
equipment,
you gonna do?
video recording, everything.
Other vehicles in the shop, and you got the truck, and you got a prisoner.
Yeah.
They're not gonna swap vehicles.
Because normally while this is here, if you're arresting somebody.
Okay, so what do y'all think we ought to put in there for a vehicle? With all this,
We only have 20, it's gonna cost us 70, right?
it's gonna probably cost 70.
So we need to put 50 in.
I was gonna say at least another 10, based on what you said,
Okay, so bump it up, right?
45 or 50.
50,000?
Yeah,
Just go 50, 20, that'd be 70, give you plenty to do whatever you wanna do with, and then that'll give y'all something, and then next year, we don't have to put that in there, that budget, because we'll be another year after before we buy something. Okay, now you got medical insurance went up, okay, let's go to the next one, please.
Public safety, I don't think we changed anything there, always.
Yep, pretty well flat.
No, pretty much
We
so.
got the little bit of public utilities, fire protection.
Hold on a minute on public safety building, bump that elevator to 10. We had a guy trapped in it last night.
Okay. All right.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Okay, the fire chief stayed the same, that hasn't changed, 26.
okay.
Now maintenance stayed the same, property maintenance, this is our, property we have around the ponds and stuff back here, that we need to clean up. This economic uncertainty, this is storm debris stuff, in case we need to clean up. Everything else is about the same, 23,000. Capital outlays, we got the contingency fund, I left it at 75.
That's the
We
question.
used it all this year, but,
What did you have on that?
Question,
Go ahead.
how it's typically used and what types of projects might go to that, for example, in the effort to modify.
Ice machine went to that this time.
Like, you're gonna shoot a TV there one day, there's that, so, back to the sign, you mentioned, Goldie, that you think we need a sign, Steve said it's a good idea, I thought it was a good idea. Is that something we should maybe go get bids on in the future and revisit at some point? Or is it gonna be gone forever? I thought I would ask because it came up.
The council's gonna have to vote on it. I personally think it's a good idea. Karen Herring headed the thing, it was 8 years ago, something like that.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's been a while anyway. And then after they done it, we done some interviews and we ended up with Ed.
Yes, sir.
And his girlfriend.
Yes, sir.
And that was a mistake. But anyway, we bought into the bullet and did it. So, but the girls put it together. It was money from the island donated. I think we put in several $1,000s, that was it.
I do think if we tear it down, we'll start getting comments like, what the hell's going on? What do you go?
That was, one was just gonna be on contingency. I know it's always 75. If that was something we might revisit, do we need to do anything
Well, if
here?
you need to put out there, we're not using it, you can visit contingency to put a new sign in if y'all so decide.
That was my question.
Yes, you can.
Get out of there.
Okay.
I mean, this year you spent it this year, and you don't always spend it, is my understanding,
It's very
right?
unusual because we have air conditioners.
So it should be fine, that number should be fine, then, even signing was it?
Air conditioners went out, we had some capital, big capital improvements we had to go.
Oh, that makes sense.
Hey, back it up to the other expenses. What's the forced property cleanup on the one above that? Other expenditures?
If we have to go and enforceably clean up somebody's property and take them to court and get our money back, we'll have a little contingency in there to do that if we have to.
We have nothing in there, we don't know.
No, it's very rare that we've had to do it, but
And then if we have to do it, Steve, we can go out of contingency, or y'all can drop a little in there. I
What we
don't-
do is you take it to court and the court tells you how to pay them, so we get our money back.
I don't think we've only had it once and they paid us.
It's kind of, but we don't really have too much. Most people take care of the yard.
But we're not. We're not on a, so you use the lots right here on Tiki Drive, for example. The majority of them are getting cut down, but there's still 2 or 3 of them that are yay high.
Mhm.
We don't do, I thought we did what we can.
We don't do
We
it.
cut them and send them a bill.
We can, it is an ordinance, we can now.
We can't do that.
If we get enough complaints, if it gets above a foot tall, we can do that.
But wouldn't that go into, come out of that?
Yes, you can put some money in there if you want, give a suggestion.
We put the money in and then try and get it back.
You know, I mean, I wouldn't, I put, I don't know, $1,000 or something.
Okay, put 1,000 in there.
I think they only charge like $30 to cut them lots.
Okay, that's good. All right,
We're gonna
cap,
put 500.
okay. Capital outlay bridge repair, we went up to $7,000.
We don't know what kind of inspection report we're gonna get, so we don't know what kind of bridge repair we're gonna get until we get the report. The capital improvements, now that, let me explain what that is. That's not $100,000 we're paying ourselves back, but we funded the road that we recently did. We paid ourselves back 3 years. This will be the 4th year. We got 1 more year and then that goes to 0.
So that money can't be used for anything else, it's already allocated.
And that's for the concrete roads that we just did.
So what happened was they gave us $510,000. They came to us and said, look, we'll give you another 510 if y'all match it, thinking we wouldn't match it. So we matched it. We asked them if they'd do $1 million, we'd match $1 million. They said only the 510. So that's paying you back $510,000.
Yeah.
And then you see on the street repair was 200, we put the 55 addition on there.
That sweeps in from the infrastructure.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that comes out to 438. So the total, before we made the few changes, was 1,708,631. We've added a few $1,000s, and I'll have to figure what it is. But it looks like our, even though tax requirements are gonna be about 1 million, close to $1,300,000. Even though tax, we have to collect. This past year, we had our M&O tax of $1,255,000. So we're probably gonna go up about 75,000 for M&O approximately.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly run through what I've got down as the changes. I didn't have, the only change I had was, LED sign maintenance, we put 2,500, we put 4,600 for the website.
Correct.
We changed the, car
To
to
50,000.
50,000. We put 500,000, oh, excuse me, we put, 10,000 on the elevator. And we changed the prop force buffer to clean up to 500.
That's correct.
Any changes?
That's it.
Okay.
Anything else y'all see?
We're gonna have a easy budget workshop. We'll have, this will come up again on August the 4th meeting. I'll just incorporate these changes and get them back out to you. On August the 4th, we'll have another budget session. If anybody else has any changes, just pick them up then. Hopefully that'll be it. We'll be done.
Hopefully
And
it's all
dredging,
changed.
all the dredging expenses?
Dredging expenses will have to come out of debt service.
Okay.
All the dredging expenses will be put into the bond for the dredging that we, and, once we get that on August the 4th, we'll know what the dredging costs are gonna be, and then we can start working. on
And that'll be
it.
filled in on this sheet, this last sheet here, that's all zeros now.
Yeah, that's why we're waiting to find out what that should,
Yeah.
should be.
Because the guesstimate is too bad.
The appraisal district
Okay.
is supposed to give us the final appraisal, certified appraisal on July the 29th, I believe. So we'll have them ready for the August 4th meeting, to take a shot and tell it behind
Good work.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.